to public hearing, turn to Ms. Messenger, close, and then ask her to do her recommendation.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So just close the regular meeting, open the public hearing, turn it over to her,
Okay.
close the public hearing, then ask her for her recommendation. for
Okay.
that item.
Okay.
I don't, yes.
The regular meeting and public hearing of the Board of the Manatee County School District will come to order. If you all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Mr. Barber, do we have any student celebrations tonight?
Yes, we do. Thanks, Mr. Chair, board members, Superintendent Saunders.
He's on an airplane.
Yeah, it's summertime, but that doesn't mean that we don't have students out there doing great things, excelling, and competing and doing some wonderful things along with their instructors. And we have a tremendous example of that tonight. So to get us started, and let me just say this about this team that we have here tonight, and one of the great things about it is it has representatives from various high schools, and I just think that's a really neat thing about it. But to get us started with this group, I want to introduce Doug Wagner. He's, you know him well, our Executive Director of Adult Career and Technical Education.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mike. Superintendent Hopes, members of the board, Superintendent Saunders, thank you for letting us be here tonight. So we do want to bring our district's F1 team forward. Brian Kensiger, if you'd come forward. Brian is an engineering teacher at Palmetto High School. And just a short story, so the Department of Education contacted us about a month ago and asked us to bring a technology innovation to the state board members we're meeting in Orlando. And we were able to pull together the Palmetto team to come forward. And we had some select state board members and also presidents of community colleges and state colleges there and technical college presidents. And the students did such an excellent job presenting what they're doing, and they're giving up their time in the summer, after school, on the weekends to pull this project together, and they were blown away. One of the participants at the meeting texted me and said, "This is one of the best presentations I've ever seen in my life," and this is from somebody who's been in education, 40 plus years. So they've done a great job. I wanted them to come forward and talk about the F1 program. So Mr. Kensiger, the floor is yours.
Good evening, board. Thank you for having us tonight. I'd like to introduce to you Perspective, our Formula One in Schools team. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves real quickly, and then where they're going to school at, and then we'll go back through everything real quick.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Atzeret.
Come on up to the microphone, please.
Sorry.
And state your name.
I'm Cassandra Atzeret. I'll be a senior at Southeast High School this fall. I'm Alana Kelly. I'll be a senior at Braden River High School.
I'm Justin Schwartz, and I graduated Braden River High School, and in the fall, I'm going to be attending the University of Florida, and I'm studying biomedical engineering.
Congratulations.
My name is Jackson Bunis. I just graduated Palmetto High School, and I'll be attending USF, majoring in chemical engineering.
Go Bulls.
So essentially what we've been working on since September of last year is when we started, and I like how everybody said it's summer because I really haven't been home yet, but that's okay. They've been working on F1 in Schools. It's the world's largest STEM competition. There's over 40 countries that will compete at the World Finals when we get there. They finished and qualified at the U.S. Nationals to go to the World Finals, so we'll be attending that in Singapore in early September. And basically what they are challenged to do is with designing and building an entire Formula One race team. From the logos to the marketing to the business plan to the car itself to advertising to social media, everything. They do the entire project, and it's actually very impressive. When you look at the portfolios that they have, that's the kind of the seller of everything that kind of brings everything together. They also have to do an 8-foot wide or a 10-foot wide, 8-foot tall pit display that shows and tells everything about their team. And so they're preparing right now to go to the Worlds. We're still a little short on funding, but we're going in the right direction. We've made, in the last month, we have done really well fundraising. We've raised a little bit over $30,000. We do have a little bit more to go yet, though, and so we're still preparing with that. But I just would encourage these kids and you guys to understand what they're doing, because it is so complex that I can't literally describe it in the very short amount of time that we have. I need about 2 hours to be able to tell you everything. But thank you so much for everything.
Well, thank you. And I think the world competition is in Singapore?
Yes, it is in Singapore, September. We would leave September 5th.
And according to our intelligence, our team's car is like maybe where in the world in speed?
It's right now we had the fastest time trial run of the world right now.
Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Cologne.
how much more funding do you need?
We're right about 20,000. It's pretty expensive when you look at it. It's a little bit over 50,000 is what it takes to do it. A lot of that is in airfare and hotels
Right.
and registrations. The pit display that I was talking about, we have to send that over there. We have to crate it onto 2 pallets and then ship it over there. And just from past experience, when we went to Abu Dhabi, it was around $3,000 per pallet. So we're looking just like $6,000 just to get it there and back, that type of thing.
And if there's any donors out there that want to contribute, where can they send the checks?
If they want to go to they can literally go online to MEFinfo /perspective or MEFinfo.org/perspective. And that will literally take you to a link where you can donate right online. They've made it's been a really good thing with us to partner with the MEF. We've been able to put our funds in there, and it's worked out really well.
Okay, fine. I just wanted to make sure it got out there. Because we
Absolutely,
do
yeah.
have people who actually watch this.
Yes.
And maybe some of them want to contribute and help with your efforts to get our fine young students
We
there.
appreciate that.
And it is impressive, and they did a presentation to the board of the Manatee Education Foundation, and Mr. Goss is in the audience, and he was very instrumental in motivating the members of the board and the foundation to do what we can to ensure that they truly have the opportunity to compete, because they are in an excellent position to really represent Manatee County and Florida and the United States in an incredible way. So, congratulations. Thank you.
I can see Mary prodding Mr. Gauze now.
When you look at what they've done, it is impressive. I mean, they basically have created an entire company, and with the engineer, I mean, everything. And so I encourage you to really take a look with something to be very proud of. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you
you.
so much. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Bob, and thank you, Mary Glass.
Yeah. Did we also announce the other team members that aren't
Oh,
here?
I'm sorry, yes, I forgot. We have 3 team members who, 2 of them are out of the country right now, traveling. Ahmad Ibsais, he's at Braden River, he's a senior. Alex Kumor is a senior at Southeast High School. He is attending a camp at MIT right now. And our other member, just went right out of my head. Vin, he's in Australia right now. Yeah, he's traveling, and he'll be attending Georgia Tech in the fall.
Great school.
So,
And we will get to meet Ahmed, because he is the student who has been relentless in pursuing an opportunity for a student to work with the board and represent our student population. So,
very good.
so we will meet him again. Thank you.
Thank you.
We would like to get a picture of the team in front of the board with Mr. Wagner and Ms. So, and by the way, yeah, you mentioned Mary, it's Mary Glass with Executive Director of the Manatee Education Foundation.
Right.
You're not gonna be in there? You guys move over just a little bit. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Do we have any of your parents here tonight, or? High schoolers, they
leave 'em
never
at
bring
home.
their parents.
They're independent.
All right, thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again. Mr. Barber, you have any more?
Yes. moving on, we have one more recognition. We're moving away from students now. It happens to be a recognition for the school board of Manatee County. And to help us introduce that, we have Miss Carol Cook. She's from the Florida School Board Association Leadership Development area. So,
Thank you.
Carol?
Ms. Cook.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent, board members, and staff. It's wonderful to be here. Florida School Boards Association it takes pride in offering services for their members to make sure that we're providing the things that they need in order to be good board members and to be a strong team. One of the things that we offer and take great pride in, again, is our professional development. We have opportunities for brand new board members to gain knowledge as to what their job is and some help in understanding the finances and budgeting and those types of things. But also we work with superintendents and school boards to make sure that they have the opportunity to work to become a strong governance body. Our leadership curriculum offers kind of meaningful concentration on student achievement through the components that we offer and stress the governance model. Some of the things that they learn are self-assessments, consensus building, establishing trust, conflict resolution, leadership, communication styles, and it goes on and on for the kinds of things that we do, and how we tie all of that in with the strategic planning that we do. During the past several months, I have had the dubious pleasure of working with you all as you have worked on the master board training. We've had some very serious heart-to-heart conversations, and I think you've had some good communication amongst yourselves. And we've worked on a lot of the tools that help make you a strong board. So from this point on, it's up to you as to what tools you're going to pull out of your tool bag at what point and what you're going to use. And it's also up to you to show the community that you have students first and foremost in your governance and every decision that you make. So tonight I would like to present you with the Master Board plaque saying, kind of commemorating the work that you have done and recognizing the time and the effort that you have put into the requirements that we have for it. And it's the plaque designating you a master board in the state of Florida, and it says, the Florida School Boards Association recognizes Manatee County Leadership Team as a master board. And then each one of your names is listed. Now, when we say a master board, that includes the superintendent. And I want to thank you for coming to our last workshop that we did together. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, but also the commitment that you made to this board saying, yep, I want to be part of this team. So thank you very much. Congratulations. And thank you for striving to be the board that's going to be best for students in
And we
Manatee County.
really want to thank you. You know, Carol Cook from the Florida School Board Association has really worked with us for a year in helping us develop collaborative skills, teamwork, focus on students and achievement through effective board operations. And she's also a board member at in Pinellas County School District. And members and superintendent, if you'd like to join Carol for receiving our award and master board designation.
Yeah, if y'all could just come down here in front of the podium and. Do we have any parents here?
Next time I'll invite my mother, don't worry.
How about, if, we get the chair in the middle, and then, Carol, why don't you get on one side, and Ms. Saunders, Superintendent Saunders on that side. If y'all could, move in just a little bit.
I'm in here.
All right, ready? Here we go. One, two, three. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, all of you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. We
Very
appreciate
I
it.
know how hard it is to cross that bridge.
Okay, members, we are now on the approval of the agenda. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on the July 24, 2018 agenda, updated July 24, 2018, and posted to the district's website. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move with an amendment to include consideration of a nomination of Steve Markowitz to be on the Finance Advisory Board.
I think we need a motion for the agenda and then a second, and then we can amend it.
I made a motion to approve the agenda with that amendment.
Okay. Okay, hearing no second, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as published?
So moved.
Second.
And we have a second. Is there any debate? Hearing none, members, if you'll vote on approving the agenda as published. Mr. Clone, you were the mover.
Yeah, there's only one little.
Is it not coming up?
No, my screen's not on.
Okay, I'll tell you what, for the purposes of this, I can show Mr. Cologne moving and Vice Chair Messenger seconding. Members, if you'll just go ahead and make a voice vote if your screens are not up.
We're good.
Okay, we got it.
Kelly's too efficient for me.
Mr. Minor? Any opposed? Okay, how would you like your vote shown, Mr. Minor?
I vote yes.
Okay.
Timed out.
Oh, did it?
The new security
We had
protocol-
we had problems with the software earlier. All right, Madam Chair, we have public comment.
Madam Vice Chair.
Madam Vice Chair.
I thought I got upgraded. All right, I'm going to just read my typical spiel. Public comment is not an open forum to discuss matters unrelated to education, to support or oppose candidates for public office, or to engage in commercial speech attempting to sell a service or product to the school board or public. Also, public comment is not a forum to attack individual school system employees or board members. Any such complaints should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Finally, this is not an open forum for addressing issues involving individual students. Because of privacy concerns, such issues should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board. This is a business meeting of the school board, and the public expects that we conduct it in an orderly, efficient, effective, and dignified manner. We request that speakers keep this in mind when making your comments. We also request that the audience keep that in mind and not demonstrate approval or disapproval of what a speaker has said by clapping or booing. The board appreciates the public's input, will listen attentively, consider each comment, and usually not respond, enter into debate, or answer questions during comments on agenda items or during the public comments section. And with that, I will start with Mr. Gauze, and then Ms. Wallace. You already knew that whole spiel.
Yes, I did. Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members, Madam Superintendent. Thank you for allowing me to speak up here. I wanted just to provide some additional support to the F1 program. Just to give you some history, I think some of you know it. You know, the F1 team in 2010 got to go to Singapore and won. I think in 2014, I'm not sure if they won, but they went to Abu Dhabi. They went to nationals. This group of students raised $9,000 for that. They came, they got invited to Singapore, and they found out it was going to be about $54,000. And I don't think they thought they could do it either. And we're not sure that they can, but the Manatee Education Foundation Board was really impressed with them. They did a presentation, we got to see more about it, and we said we would try and get that for them. Right now, between what we've been able to do, what they've been able to do, and there was a donation today of $1,000. We're right at about $34,000, and we're still raising money. But we're also $20,000 shy, and they're gonna have to make some decisions. They're gonna have to buy some tickets and stuff like that. And I guess you could say, you know, the way I look at it, the way I've always looked at it is, you've got a group of students that are potentially the best in the world. They attend Palmetto, Southeast, Braden River. You can't buy that advertisement for cheap. And what I'd like to do, my ask is that we're gonna keep raising money, but if they fall short, I would like the board to direct the superintendent to make sure that her staff finds legal means to make that difference go away and get these kids there. Celebrate your students. They've been successful. In the business world, you're successful, you're rewarded. Let's reward them. And let's send the message that our students, when they do this, we're gonna find a way to help them. The community's finding a way, but I don't know if we'll get it all. But you've got 7 students that have raised $43,000 so far. I'm hopeful that, again, the board will direct the superintendent to direct their staff to see if there's other things. It may be 15,000, it may be 10,000, maybe 5,000, it may be 0. But they're gonna have to make some decisions pretty soon. So we gotta make sure that they know they're gonna get there. That's my request and my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goss.
Ms. Wallace, and then Ms. Scheich.
I think she's gonna speak on
the agenda item.
a new business item.
Agenda, is that correct?
I didn't get that as a note.
She had signed up for public comment. Okay.
It was about the agenda item. Whether,
Mr. Kennedy's not here. I can wait until the agenda item, or we can do it now.
it's probably more appropriate at the agenda item, I think.
Okay, so it sounds like the board is fine with moving to, which agenda item will that be? Just so that I have a note for myself.
New business, item number 7.
All right,
She,
then I will move on to Ms. Scheich, which I do not believe I saw her. Linda Scheich. Here,
no, I haven't seen her tonight.
okay, Christopher Colton, and then Becky Canese. Mr. Colton. Apparently we scared everybody away. Becky, come on down, and then Ms. Fowler.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent Saunders, members of the board. It's a privilege and a pleasure to speak to you again tonight and ask for your support in allowing the share of the referendum that supported the millage to follow the district students that we provide services to in our alternative education programs for elementary and middle school students. We're listed on the Florida Department of Education site as a district-operated school of choice. Our students are generating FTE dollars that flow to the district, and that referendum is for the benefit of district students. We've enjoyed a public-private partnership with the district for nearly 30 years, and we've achieved great success in saving lives and changing lives of these students who are at risk of dropping out. To include them would provide equity and the equal opportunity for them to have what the rest of the district students will have, the best opportunity for the best teachers. To exclude them jeopardizes them, further disadvantages them, and these are disadvantaged students. They're overcoming a lot of barriers, and I'm asking you to recognize the equality issues that are so deserving of these students in considering the justification in including them with the referendum. It was mentioned the last time we met that Just for Girls or these alternative education programs were not specifically included in the referendum. But I would point out that they weren't specifically excluded either. To include these students and their teachers with these funds will give them the same advantage as other students. To exclude them creates additional disadvantage for students that are already disadvantaged through poverty and other risks that have caused them to fall behind and fail to thrive in a traditional school setting. And they are succeeding at Just for Girls. We have Scholastic Saturdays that have achieved gains of 75 points in reading over those of comparable students. We've achieved success for all of the years that we've been in operation with an impeccable record. It is our obligation to do our very best for these students in making the decisions that we make. We have an opportunity here to consider what's right in allowing these funds to follow the students who deserve the same opportunity. The referendum described that it would allow the district to compete with other counties. It was an unintended consequence for you to compete with our public-private partnership and these alternative education programs that are so sorely needed by these students. And I ask for your support and to take action tonight so that we can start the school year off on the same footing as all of your teachers as well. Thank you again.
Thank you. Ms. Fowler, and then Mrs. Mendel. Mm-hmm. They come ready.
I'll leave this for you guys to look through. These were the hand signatures that people took the time out to sign on behalf of us. For the new Parish High School. I know I have 3 minutes, so I'm going to try and talk as fast as I possibly can. First of all, thank you, Dr. Hopes and Mrs. Saunders, for allowing us to come again and speak. I am a resident of Parish, which is FYI the third largest voting precinct in Manatee County, by the way. My family, not being a native, we have been here since 2009. We have chosen to live here when we retired from the USMC. My husband and my son are both in the audience in my support. At the school board workshop on June 12th, I requested both the Parish Elementary and for the board to reconsider naming the high school, adding Parish. The lawyer for the school board stated at the workshop there was no reason why we could not amend it. We did not have any notice that the renaming would be on the agenda on June 26th. I attended the June 26th meeting and was representing almost 1,000 petitioners plus the community of Parish in a sea of green for Barb Harvey. At that time, I was an individual, but I was representing a very large amount of people. Seeing that that was not effective, I've invited a few friends to join me at this time. If you guys could stand up if you're wearing a We Are Parish shirt. And if you notice, we have all ages. We have people that have been here all their lives, and we have children that are now going to be attending that high school that is in Parish. And business owners and homeowners and everybody that I could find to represent each of the people that signed this petition. We now have almost 1,300 signatures. I know I have a minute and a half, so I want to address the points that were made in the discussion at the end of the meeting, because we were not able to be a part of that discussion. Number one, that you'd have to restart the process all over again. According to Robert's rules, which I found out, thank you, Mr. Teitelbaum and with Mr. Barber for providing me the information I requested, that correcting mistakes every once in a while, either after reflection or because of new facts, you may come to the conclusion that maybe the group did something it should not have not done or should have done differently, or that it made a mistake in choosing not to do something it should have done. I verified through your policies that you follow Robert's rules when it comes to motions and movement and moving. One of the other things, we were not aware this discussion was being put on the agenda. I thank you, Mr. Minor, for putting it on the agenda. We just weren't aware of it, and we didn't have enough time to get the group together, because at that moment, I found out about it right before it came onto the agenda. If we had known, we would have had more people here and present reasons for the addition of Parish to the high school. The other one that I wanted to really stress was that we waited a year to address this, yes, but really we didn't. We started right after, and we had been addressing the board periodically through our representatives. And we would like you to reconsider, because as Dr. Green stated, the costs are minimal, but they will be everything will need to be ordered soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Mendel.
Excuse me, just one second. I did tell the team here that they would be able to leave after student celebration, so you guys are welcome to stay, okay?
You don't know what you're in for.
Hi, Bridget Mendel. Speaking first on the student progression plan, I sent you all an email with the opt-outs concerns with the SPP. We need the board's help to make sure our children are protected from the FSA. The state requires that you hold children, except for third graders, harmless from the student progression plan and the FSA. If we wait to have a public comment on 8-1, we'll have a room full of parents who may extend the meeting for a long period of time. This document has to be turned into the state on the 1st of September, starting a new year with the old plan, and then depending upon changes to schedules, they would have to change, and this would be an undue burden on our guidance counselors. In addition, the new attendance policy is punishing and is not only like those, and it's nothing like those in the surrounding counties. In fact, we're the only county that I know of across the state who is still choosing to punish kids who refuse or fail the FSA. The state has never had this requirement, and we choose just to bully children into studying obsessively or to scare them from basic participation. It's gamesmanship for points towards school grades, and it must stop. Please provide the public with another draft so that we have less to work through. We have many opt-out families and children not in third grade who want to be able to take advantage of honors, AP, IB, ACE, and dual enrollment. It is extremely stressful for these families and could lead to a disaster for guidance offices. Second, in regard to testing, I was surprised at your outline of the district assessments and how many were added this year. The number was stunning. District assessments are not mandated by the state. The state only mandates the testing in sections 3 and 4 of the assessment calendar you'll vote on tonight. Here are some of the hours our children will be tested. 5th grade has the highest number of hours, 10 by the state and another 12.5 hours added by the district for a total of 22.5 hours stolen from instructional time. Third graders have 5.3 hours from the state and an additional 10.5 hours by the district for a total of 15.8 hours. Second grade has 0 hours from the state and the district added 11.5 hours. Our second graders don't even take the FSA, but we in our county hit them up for 11.5 hours for what? Test prep, that is what. For grades 6 through 10, the state says they have to have approximately between 8 to 11 hours, and the district adds another 11 hours on top of that in district assessments, and that leads to 21 hours of stolen instructional time. We understand that the state has a high-stakes testing system in place to provide accountability for teachers' VAM scores, school and district grades, and state accountability. But this extra assessing that we do in our county borders on abuse. It is developmentally inappropriate and is the reason why many of our teachers choose to leave this county. Testing has caused an exodus, and the last I checked, you have a whole bunch of classrooms to fill. Maybe it's time to reevaluate the testing schedule. What is not noted in the calendar is that last year benchmark assessments were starting to be used for a grade. The state never intended for that, and it must stop. Please do your due diligence, board, and calculate the hours that you are sanctioning district administration to steal instructional time from our children. And I'm happy, there's a book that I love for y'all to check out. It's called The Testing Charade, Pretending to Make Schools Better. He's from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And I will give you, I know you two, I sent it to you, but here's the total number of hours that if you calculate in district assessments that are not required by the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jessica Patterson, and then Garen Hoover.
Hi, my name is Jessica Patterson. Thank you for having me here. I'm a Lakewood Ranch resident with 3 school-aged children. I'm here to address the testing schedule that has been released, as well as issues with mental health companies having access to our most vulnerable children. I want to know why our district continues to punish our children more harshly than the state mandates. Why a 5th grader must have over 22 hours of testing in a year, not including all the incessant test prep. Why we continue to kill the love of learning from our children and focus on testing, and more testing. Kindergarten used to be, and I use used to, as in 3 years ago with my middle child, and 7 years ago with my oldest, in our town in New Hampshire, where my kids began school where they had an actual play kitchen in their classroom and a doctor's kit. Can you imagine that? Some actual toys for 5-year-olds? I don't think you find that today here. They learned as well the basics of letters, letter sounds, and the beginning of first words, but we had reading specialists and math specialists in our classrooms for small groups, unlike here where you don't find that in the classroom. They did not begin off their year in kindergarten using a computer and a mouse, which most 5-year-olds don't know how to use, and shouldn't be expected to in order to test their literacy. Here in first grade, I was told by my teachers that he was behind. He was reading to us every night and improving, but I was always telling that, well, he doesn't comprehend it. And I said, he's 6 years old. Kids aren't supposed to learn until they're closer to 7. But we just push. He wasn't ready. Come second grade, it clicked. He jumped 2 grade levels. 3/4 of the way through second grade, he was reading mid-3rd grade level because he was ready. And we did have a great teacher. Why do we put this enormous pressure on our children? Why do we choose every time to have computers teach our children over more bodies in the classroom? Why do we not see a para in every classroom? The money is there, but we choose to spend it on computer-based learning instead of support staff. Why did my second grader spend 40 minutes a day on iReady? Do you have proven results that kids learn that are not from the company or paid for by the company? I just wanted to also address that when I saw the Motivational Coaches of America offering free mental health for our children, I immediately thought, free? Nothing is free. We dug, we saw that they were run by ex-convicts. This was not new information. This was not vetted. You did not do your due diligence when you were looking to approve this company tonight. They took out, I just wanted to add that with the kids' mental health, it is not covered by HIPAA or FERPA. And I hope that you consider what happens with these children data when they're not protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Garen Hoover.
I don't see Mr. Hoover.
I don't either. Norma Kennedy. And then Terry Carter.
This is not an award here. Sure. This is Crawford Parish. This is what we're fighting for. My name is Norma Kennedy. I'm a native of Manatee County. And I'm asking you to reconsider the community of Parish in the naming of the high school. I basically am a historian out in Parish, and in recording the oral histories of the pioneer families, I've learned so much about how the people feel about their hometown. To them, North River is a slap in the face to the families who built this community from the ground up. As you know, the original school in Parish was named Parish, and the land was donated by a parish. And all I'm asking you to think about is your community and how you feel about it. It's our community, and we're very proud of it. We are not proud of the generic name North River, which could apply to anyone living on the north side of the river. Think about this. How would Lakewood Ranch and the other communities like to be South River? We don't want North River. Now, to tell you about a few people that have done a lot for Parish, one is Lamar Parish. He got our parish fire department. He got our rural health department. He paved some of our roads when he was a commissioner. And then he is also a direct descendant of Crawford Parish. Crawford Parish was one of the first settlers. His son John donated the land for the railroad and brought the economic impact to Parish. It was a booming community. I have sent emails to every one of you guys, and it started back in 2016 in regard to naming the school. The one thing I just want to leave you with is, remember, we are parish, and we want our community properly recognized. And we do thank Gina and Mr. Minor that tried to tell you how important it was to us in the last board meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Terry Carter.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak here today. I just found out today that this was happening, the name change of parish. And I'm hoping and hope you can address and reconsider not to change the parish name. And my kids, I raised my kids in Manatee County. My son used to go out to parish to hunt, fish in the waters out there. I live between Erie Road and Moccasin Wallow, and I hope that Moccasin Wallow doesn't change their name also, hit the road either. I hope that the schools can be named after Mr. Parrish. I met Mr. Parrish. I have worked in Manatee County contracting and facilities and rehabs, and I met Mr. Parrish in a rehab, and I assisted him and I cut his hair, and he told me many stories of Parrish and his family members, and I think he would be proud and grateful of everyone that's trying to keep his name out in Parrish. We live in a great community out there. There's bald eagles nesting in our trees right around between the schools where they're being built. The elementary school, I hope, gets the parish name. The high schools, the colleges, universities, I hope it gets the parish name. I respect that man. He's built a lot out there in parish, and I hope that we can vote on this and bring it all together. Thank you.
That concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you. All right, members, at this time, we will close the regular meeting and open the public hearing in consideration of adopting amendments to the Code of Student Conduct for the 2018-2019 school year. And we are now opening the public hearing. Madam Vice Chair, are there public comments?
I don't have any signed up, but since it's a public hearing, anyone can speak on the code of conduct that is here today. I only ask if you come up that you please state your name clearly so that it's put in the record. Is there anyone that would like to come and make a public comment on the code of conduct? Okay.
All right, seeing no public comments during the public hearing period, we will close the public hearing and reconvene the regular meeting of the Board of the School District of Manatee County. Madam Superintendent, item number 2, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the adoption of amendments to the Code of Student Conduct for the 18-19 school year.
So moved.
Showing it moved and seconded. Members, is there any debate on the approval of adoption of amendments to the Code of Student Conduct for the 2018-2019 school year? Hearing no debate, will you please vote on the motion to approve the adoption of amendments to the Code of Student Conduct for the 2018-2019 school year? All in favor, yes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Showing none, show the motion adopted. At this time, I will close the regular meeting, and we are now open. I am now opening the public hearing for the consideration of amendments to and adoption of policies. Madam Vice Chair, do we have any public comment?
I do not believe we have any, but like before, if there's anyone here that'd like to make a public comment, they can come forward and do so. Are there any public comments about the amendments and adoption of policies?
All right, hearing no public comment, I will close the public hearing, and we are reconvening the regular meeting of the Board of the School District of Manatee County. Madam Superintendent, approval of amendment and adoption of school board policies.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the amendments to policy 1430.03 sick leave, policy 2520 selection and adoption of instructional materials, policy 4120 employment of support staff, and policy 6700 Fair Labor Standards Act, and of the adoption policy 5111.01 homeless students.
Okay, members, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Showing been moved by Vice Chair Messenger, seconded by Mr. Cologne. Members, we are on the proposed addition of policies 5111.01, homeless students, and amendments to policy 1430.03, sick leave policy 2520, selection and adoption of instructional materials policy 4120, employment of support staff, and policy 6700 for fair labor standards. Is there any debate? Hearing none, members, we are on the approval of the motion to for the addition of policies 5111.01, homeless students, and amendments to policy 1430.03, sick leave policy 2520, selection and adoption of instructional materials, policy 4120, employment of support staff, and policy 6700 for the Fair Labor Standards Act. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Showing none, show the motion adopted. At this time, I'm closing the regular meeting of the Board of the School District of Manatee County, and I am opening the public hearing on the 2018-2019 tentative budget and millage. Any public comments?
I don't believe anyone has signed up, but Mr. Nelson signed up. All right, Mr. Nelson, come on down. You know the rules.
Got a handout first.
Whoa.
Why did we figure that you would have a handout, Mr. Nelson?
I'm back again on the same reason. Mr. Chairman, Dr. Holtz, and Superintendent Cynthia. The reason I'm here is I've been here before regarding, I haven't talked to an adult in my 6 years I was working as a citizen, as to asking him, the question is, how much do you spend every year? How much do you have in revenue? And just last week, I had a member of the Finance Committee said we're spending $1 billion a school year. Well, you have two documents. One is this, your cap report, comes out at the end of the year. And then you got the budget for this year. In my handout, I put a cover sheet. It talks about, the comments are strictly quoted from your CAFR report. This report consists of management representation concerning the finances of the district. The report will provide the taxpayer of the school district with financial data in a format enabling him to gain an understanding of financial affairs and standing of the district. The other thing it quotes, the CFAR includes all funds, all funds. So all funds is right here, income. Now if you look at the page, turn the page, and your graph in color, and your $820 million supposedly published budget, if you read the statistic, you read the money that's coming in is not $820, it's $775 million. 775, not 800. Now that's based on, when you read this report come January of next year, which would be the capital report for this year, That's the number you'll see that you're close to. Real money. So I'm asking you to stop counting money twice. I give it to you in color. You're the only organization that I know of that counts their money twice. I should count. If that's a legitimate fun way to, legitimate way to do it, then all you have to do is me as an individual is to separate my income into funds and I grow money. No way. So those people you talk to give an incomplete data, depending upon what time of the year they pick up on. This says you're gonna spend $820 million. This says you're gonna spend $500 million. Somewhere that's gotta change, and be honest, be honest. Live up to the excerpts I published on the copy, and quit counting the money twice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Thank you for your service on the Citizens Financial Advisory Committee.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment?
All right, hearing no further public comment, this concludes the public hearing on the tentative budget and millage. We will now reconvene the regular meeting of the Board of the School District of Manatee County. Madam Superintendent, do you have a recommendation?
Yes, I do. I recommend the approval to adopt the 2018-2019 tentative millage rate of 7.331.
So moved.
Having been moved, do I have a second?
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, members, we are on the approval of the adoption of the tentative millage rate of 7.371. Is there, pardon me?
331.
331.
Wish it was 731.
7.331.
Yes.
0. All right. I've got it written down correctly now. Any debate? All right. Hearing none, I just wanted to make a note that even though we passed a 1 mil tax increase, we've only increased the total millage by 0.72, I think, is in the notes. All right. Members, all in favor of adopting the tentative budget and the tentative millage rate of 7.3310. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Mr. There we go. All right. Any opposed? Showing none, the motion is adopted. Mrs. Saunders, for the approval of the adoption of the tentative budget.
Yes, I recommend the approval to adopt the 2018-2019 tentative budget in the amount of $820,522,314.
Second.
All right, having been moved and seconded, is there any debate? Okay, hearing none, members, we are on approving the tentative budget. All in favor? Yes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Showing none, show the motion adopted.
May I request a brief recess?
Yes, ma'am. The board will stand in informal recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
If everyone would please take your seats. We are reconvening the board meeting of the Board for the School District of Manatee County. At this time, we're going to do something that we probably should have done before we had a vote, and we're going to turn it over to our CFO, Heather Jenkins, for a presentation on the budget and millage.
Good evening. How are you guys? I have Margaret Curtin with me. She's our budget director. There are just a few formalities that we have to go over for our budget hearing. And we want to give you guys a brief overview of what our process will entail for the next few months. So tonight, we're going to go over our workshop and final hearing dates. We have to discuss our rollback rate, and we'll explain to you what that is. We have our proposed tentative millage, which you've already heard from Superintendent Saunders, our proposed tentative budget. We have comments and discussion if anyone has any questions when we're finished. Adoption of our tentative millage rate, which we've already done, and adoption of our tentative budget. So on August 14th, we're going to give you guys an in-depth dive into our general operating fund workshop. We'll go through things by function and object and really get down into the nitty-gritty so that if you have any questions, we can answer them there in preparation for our final budget in September. August 28th, we're going to discuss our capital expenditures, and September 4th, we have our final hearing. This is part of our trim ad that was published on Saturday, July 21st. Our initially proposed tax levy is $236,891,339. From that, we reduce anything that's due to the Value Adjustment Board and other assessment changes, which are $994,139, leaving our actual property tax levy at $235,897,200, which brings this year's proposed tax levy to $284,758,891. A portion of that tax levy is required under state law in order for us to receive our state education grant funding of $173,696,440. The required portion has decreased from last year by 1.65% and represents approximately 6/10 of the total of proposed taxes. Our current year's state law required local effort is 4.083 mils. Our current year local board rate is 3.248 mils, totaling 7.3310 mils. The current year state law required local effort rollback rate is 4.1513 mils. Our current year local board required rollback rate is 2.1404 mils, totaling 6.2917. A rollback rate is a rate that would generate our prior year tax revenue less allowances for new construction, additions, deletions, improvements increasing value by at least 100%, and tangible personal property value in excess of 115% of the previous year's value. The difference in this year's millage and the rollback rate is 1.0393 mils. And then this final slide shows our required local effort rate, our capital outlay rate, discretionary operating, additional voted millage, total tentative millage, and the amount in which it would generate. And on our final slide, we show our total budget at $820,522,314 and the breakdown in our budgeted revenue, transfers, and fund balances, our expenses and transfers, and our budgeted fund balance. Do y'all have any questions?
Mr. Clone.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the required portion decreased by 1.65%?
Yes, sir.
Is that because of the increased property values?
The rollback rate actually decreased, whereas our total millage increased. Last year it was 4.3600. This year it's 4.0830, a decrease of 0.2770, and our taxable value increased. So the numbers shake out that way.
How nice of them.
I know.
I see, this is when Mr. Minor can blame the legislature. He's right.
And when we talk again in August, we'll go through a lot of different millage examples, show how it affects the taxpayers like we did last year.
Okay, so you'll give us a final then?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I just actually have two questions. So one, in looking at our budget book, and I want to commend you and your staff because you did an exceptional job in compiling the budget presentation for us. And I really appreciate the work and the effort and the clarity
They worked very hard.
in it. I see that, and it's markedly improved. I appreciate it. According to the table for the millage levy information, I just want to make sure what we are getting ready to ratify is the same. I'm showing that our total millage for 2017-2018 was 6.6080.
Yes, sir.
And this year, the proposal is 7.3310.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which is an increase from last year's millage of 0.7230.
It is due to, yes, and it's mainly due to our referendum.
Right, right. So I
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so, and so I just wanted to clarify that the earlier statement I made is even though we passed the 1 millage tax, because of the various rollback rates, the total millage this year is not 1 mil more than last year, it's only 0.723 mil increase.
In total, correct.
Great, thank you. The other question is just from a procedural perspective, because we're now July 24th adopting the tentative budget for the fiscal year that began on July 1st.
Yes, sir.
And from my experience on the board of USF, what we did to ensure that the organization had spending authority starting at the beginning of the fiscal year, we passed a continuation budget where before the beginning of the new fiscal year, the board met and we adopted a continuation budget, which was basically the same as the prior year's budget, so that we had spending authority, legally had spending authority before we were able to get to, usually at the end of July or in August, the actual proposed budget.
Right. With the Department of Education, what we're able to do is we develop a preliminary budget, which can be exactly the same as the tentative budget.
Right.
So we loaded that into PeopleSoft, into our accounting system on July 1st, and then
Right.
any changes that you would want to make, we have minimal spending authority available from the beginning of July until this point.
The only point, the point of it is that perhaps, and I don't know how other districts, I do know how the university does it, is that's what we would do. Before the beginning of the new fiscal year, we would approve exactly what you put into the accounting system.
I'm not familiar with that, but I'd be happy to look into it.
Yeah, if we could, I just want to make sure that we're staying in compliance.
Definitely.
And so we don't have to worry about it this year, but next year, perhaps we should look at that, because it kind of, having had almost 5 years' experience with USF, going through the pain of having to meet to approve a continuation budget so that the board actually gave the authority for the district to spend money, because, the board, I don't think we adopted a continuation budget or any kind of budget to start July 1st. I mean, I know in practice we did,
Right.
but I don't think the board took action.
I can tell you, as part of the trim requirements, you're only required to have, the only hearings you're required to have are the tentative and the final budget
Right, and
hearings.
that's for the trim notes, that's for taxing, that's different than authorizing the organization to continue to spend money, so, at any rate, thank you.
I will check into it.
Any other further questions or comments? All right, so at this time, I will entertain a motion to ratify the vote that we took on the budget and the millage earlier. Okay, having been moved and seconded, is there any debate? All in favor of ratifying our prior approval on the tentative budget and millage? All in favor, aye? Okay.
Yeah, well, no, I let Mr. Minor go ahead and move it.
Yeah.
Mr. Minor moved it, Mr. Cologne seconded. And now show the motion to ratify the prior vote adopted. Thank you. Really appreciate all the work. Now, Mrs. Saunders, we are on the approval of the minutes.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the minutes from the June 26, 2018 workshop and regular meeting and public hearing.
Having been moved and seconded, we are on the approval of the minutes from the board workshop, shade meeting, and regular meeting and public hearing from June 26. Is there any debate or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Show the minutes adopted. Mrs. Saunders, consent items.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the consent agenda for July 24th, 2018.
I'll second.
Okay, the consent items have been moved by Mr. Minor and seconded by Ms. Messenger. Is there any debate or discussion? Okay, I will point out, and I want to commend staff, within the consent items are the new agreements between the City of Palmetto and the Police Department and the City of Bradenton and the Bradenton Police Department for our expanded school security. I want to publicly commend the staff, the superintendent, Mr. Teitelbaum. We met with the mayor. We put a lot of effort into this. We arrived at a very positive partnership with the two municipalities, and want to thank both the mayor and the police chiefs of both Palmetto and Bradenton for continuing that partnership and working with us. And with that, members, if you will vote, we are on approval of the consent items. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Showing none, show the consent items adopted. Members, we are now on new business. For item number 1, Superintendent, do you have a recommendation? Is it new business items pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes. I recommend the approval to renew Collier County Public Schools technology equipment, software, and services catalog discount, bid number 16-062, SDMC number 18-0040-SM, not to exceed $900,000 per fiscal year. Renewal.
Okay, Mr. Minor moves the approval to renew the Collier County Public Schools contract. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, having been moved and seconded, I think Vice Chair Messenger, it was your request to remove this from the consent item, consent agenda. Would you like to begin our debate?
Debate. Yeah, I moved this for a couple of reasons. And I've discussed this with the superintendent and Rob Malloy. So I don't like to surprise anyone. A few months ago, I started visiting schools and for security reasons, and also got to see a lot of the classroom technology. And when I got to see the classroom technology, this was after we had our executive session about school security. And in that executive session, I won't go into what was covered, but what I would say is we were given a very thorough plan on security. We were told every school, what was needed, how much it would cost, what was already there, all of that. And so when that happened, and then I went and visited schools, I asked, did we have any kind of plan like that for classroom technology? Because I acknowledge we have old technology. Some of it might be from when I went to school here, you know? So I acknowledge that. And
Hope not.
yeah. Anyway, so I asked for that. And what I was given a plan, and granted, it was not a plan that Mr. Malloy made. It was a plan from an existing person that had already been here before. But the plan did not give a lot of information. It gave, oh, we're going to have this much money, and we're going to fix up a few schools. It wasn't, this is what we already have, this is how we want to fix it, this is what we need, this is how many we need, this is going to be the cost. These are all the different things it didn't have all that. But I knew that it was going to come up, it goes until 2019. So I was like, okay. But then this came up, and that it just creates a lot of concerns for me, because there's been a few things that I feel like have happened, and it pertains really mostly to this specific company. We put in a whole set of these TVs, and I use the word TV, but Rob corrects me and says it's
Monitors?
digital signage.
Oh, digital. Oh, God.
I call it a TV. It's smarter than a smart TV, is what he says. Anyway, a whole entire school full of those had to be taken out and then put in lobbies of other schools because that was an older model. That all of a sudden now we're putting new models in other. I guess my point is that should be a plan. There should be a plan with that. And if we're going to have this money and it's a grant and it's a great grant and we, like we talked about, we may not get it again. We don't know how how the legislature will decide. I just want to make sure that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck. I want to make sure that this company is really the best company, because when I looked at Collier County and I looked at their digital technology plan, Collier County is not using this company to buy this type of product. So we're using this piggyback bid for something that's not what Collier County is using it for, because on Collier County's digital plan, it says that they're using this company for computer peripherals, which is what we're using CDW for, which we just approved in our consent items. So to me, it seems like I don't see a clear plan of what specifically, how many of these TVs are we going to get? How much is that going to cost us? How much is the installation? How much, because I know we're doing wiring, and I don't know if we're hiring somebody or that's our people doing that. I don't know. Now, I know we're going to do tablets now, but how is that comparing to other products? I don't know. And I'm not saying this is the wrong company. I'm just saying I don't know if it's the right company. Right. And that's really my concern. Because, the whole point of using a piggyback bid to me is that, hey, they already negotiated the best price, but we don't know if they've negotiated the best price because it seemed like this company wasn't what they weren't using it for the same thing.
Right.
So I am uncomfortable with this.
Mr.
I'm
Klum.
just gonna ask a quick question. Why are they wiring stuff?
'Cause
Nobody uses wires anymore. Everything's Bluetooth.
It runs off of Bluetooth.
Yeah, but
you
it
still
needs
have to have
power.
You still have to have power.
Yeah, that's it.
an
Oh, there's no
internet
power in the
connection.
classrooms?
Excuse me?
There's no power in the classrooms? TV works off, 110, whatever.
I can.
Never mind.
Mr. Minor?
I'd like to hear what the administration has to say about it.
Okay. Who would like to respond?
Well, I can. I have text Mr. Malloy who will come, but I can speak a little bit. Ms. Messenger's points are very valid. We do not have an extensive 5-year, 3-year district technology plan that does house with the CIO. And in his defense, since he has been placed in that position, his focus has been predominantly on the ERP. The prior CIO, and I've been here 5 years, I've had 4. Just saying, I would like to just point that out. The prior CIO did have a refresh computer plan, which is a new item. It's the next one with the vendor we were talking about. So they did focus on that. There was not any capital funds to do anything dedicated beyond the computer refresh. So I don't know if that's why the omission of having the extensive plan really was not there for classroom technology, because the capital money just was not allocated. We had a delay with maintenance and some of the other operational needs, so they didn't focus on replacement of projectors and so forth. What we found was we had many schools, predominantly our non-title, that we had projectors that were 10+ years old. A traditional projector mounted in a ceiling does not run off of wireless or the new technology like the new devices do.
Correct.
So with this grant, we decided that we were going to dedicate, now with a grant, charter schools get a portion of the money. We pay for our Schoology learning management system out of it. We also are upgrading some media centers, so those things are dedicated. And then our predominant usage right now is updating projector systems. We started with a high school. This year, the money will be dedicated to middle school. Next year, if it comes, it goes to elementary. So the vendors that are there went through the purchasing department and went to proper bid when they were selected, but some of these could have been selected 2 years ago. For the devices that the CIO deemed was what we should be putting. Instructional comes to play with meeting with the operational department of, this is a need we have. We don't pick the device, whether it's Apple or Analog or Samsung. That's really an IT decision-making. We need projectors, we need the current ones. Whatever you can get and put in here, that's their process, and then instructional does the training and the support piece from a teaching tool. So I do think it's very valid for us before possibly we purchase any more of those such items. We work with the CIO and purchasing just to go back and revet and make sure the bids are current, because it's not just those type of devices for the middle schools. The things that we're putting in the media centers are the Promethean and short throw, because they're going in elementary schools. So I do think it's a very valid point that we need a plan, and we also need, how are we going to have reoccurring dollars to support it, and make sure that every year or two that we're updating our processing with purchasing to make sure we have the most proficient vendor. But right now, we do have 4 media centers that are dismantled until our approval is done, and probably some charter schools that are wanting their fair share of the technology money that comes out of that grant funding. But if you would like Rob to add any additional, or if anybody has any additional, in his defense, after the ERP goes live and our capital money, is not dedicated to that, he will have a budget where he can go and make a long-range plan, and I'm sure Ron is working with him for that expectation too.
Okay, Mr. Malloy, go ahead and come up. I've got, I think Vice Chair Messenger raises 2 issues that have continued to concern me. One is, and I'm not going to say there's a lack of, and there may be a lack of, but I don't see it frequently enough when we make these decisions, a lack of true capital planning on both the technology side as well as many other areas of the district. I'm used to pretty deliberate and diligent capital plans being prepared and how we spend capital dollars moving way out into the future. So that's one issue. And I realize that the whole IT and information services area has been encumbered by monumental tasks.
A little bit.
But second, which gets to adopting an agreement from another county to purchase something that the other county is not even purchasing. And when she brings up digital signage, I mean, my technology company here in Europe, that's one of the things we do. And I will tell you, the prices change, if not daily, sometimes hourly. And I have literally flown to Taipei, Taiwan for one day to deal with pricing on a big order for digital signage.
Extra smart TVs.
Yeah, so there are all kinds of levels of them too. So I'm concerned because I too have consistently questioned purchasing about how we know we're getting the best value and the best price. And so I believe you and I will agree that in this world with these items, that pricing changes all the time. I mean, and as well as the value you're getting on that dollar with regards to the technology that's embedded in these devices. And so I guess I'm in one hand, I'm a bit troubled because if we have a CDW contract, we both know CDW sells everything from iPads to computers and digital signage and everything else. In our own backyard, we have tech data, which is, I think, the largest in the world in the sale and distribution of technology. Billions, like I think over 100 billion a year, and they're up there in Pinellas County. So I guess first, address the issue of capital planning and the process that you would propose to satisfy Vice Chair Messenger's questions and my concerns.
Sure. So right now, we're in the last year of our 5-year refresh plan that I took over in February. So we're finishing out, this is the last year for this school year. Me and my team are already getting ready to start. What is our next 5-year plan? And like Ms. Saunders pointed out, in the previous one, classrooms were not part of the technology plan. They are going to be part of our technology plan moving forward, whether we're going to use, tablets, devices, what's going to be new, because we need something we can manage, control, and have the same thing consistent throughout the district instead of everyone buying their own thing and going off. So that is part of my plan, work with Ron and Ms. Saunders on the instructional side for the next 5-year plan to encompass everything, because the current IT plan only had staff, student, and that's it. Devices, laptops, desktops, whatever they were. So we're finishing out that plan this year. And with CDW was the vendor we had for that. So we're finishing that out. And then I'm in the process now of, once ERP is done this month, from my perspective, we can move forward and start planning next year's when we come to you guys for our new 5-year plan for IT and instruction. And we're finishing out this year with the Collier County one that Ms. Saunders started when she saw the need as deputy superintendent, that we didn't have that being done on the IT side, so she took it upon herself to make sure that was being covered for the classroom, so they had something, because she's right, we have old devices that are 7-10 years old that have been sitting out there on carts. Some are mounted on the ceilings, some didn't work. Most you couldn't even see them because of, bulbs haven't been replaced and that type of stuff. So we're taking that all under under IT to make sure we get something that we can use, we can service, and we can keep running. So that is,
Okay. And then with regards to this Collier County Public Schools contract with a company for technology that Collier County doesn't use to provide the technology, but we are being asked to approve a contract, to approve using a contract by a school district who doesn't even use the contract that we're being asked to adopt.
Understood. And Ms. Messenger brought that to us the other day. We had a meeting with Ms. Saunders, so we're trying to sit down with purchasing so we can investigate that.
Okay.
Yep.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cologne.
Well, maybe we should bring that back in 2 weeks after they have time to sit down and evaluate it and get
Because
back
we just
to
met
us
the
with
other
some
day, I think.
updated information.
That sounds like a great motion. Are you making a motion?
I am so making that motion.
To postpone?
Postpone the vote on this pending further investigation by our CIO and our superintendent.
Can I say 2 things?
You can say 3 things.
Oh, 3? Thank you for your permission, sir.
That's 50% more than you asked for.
Next time I'll limit how many things you could say.
See how our board training has really improved the effectiveness of our board.
I'm just sassy.
No.
First of all, I want to say how much I enjoy Mr. Malloy, and I don't fault him for any of this. I'm not saying that at all. Please don't misunderstand me, and please don't misunderstand that I absolutely love classroom technology. Almost every district I've worked in had great classroom technology. I'm all for all of that, but my point was only, if this isn't a great price and we could find a better price, maybe we could buy more. That was my only point. I just want to get as much.
Current technology. Nope.
I just want to get the best that we can. That's all.
She wants more bang for our buck.
Yeah, I will second his
Okay.
motion.
So we have a motion to postpone our consideration of the approval to renew the Collier County Public Schools contract, which is item number 1 on new business. It's been seconded. Is there any debate? Hearing none, all in favor of postponing item number 1 under new business, the approval to renew the Collier County Public Schools contract until the administration has come back to us with new information.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Minor.
I made the motion to approve. Mr. Cologne made a second. And may I suggest that might be more consistent with proper procedure to ask if Mr. Cologne and I would like to withdraw the second in the motion, and that will, just kind of stay, and we will pass on at that point.
I don't think from a procedural perspective we need to do that because there's been a motion to postpone. And that was seconded because we were on the issue.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Dye.
The motion to postpone is appropriate. What it means is that Mr. Minor's motion to approve is postponed until the
Right.
report comes back. Then after the reports come back, Mr. Minor's motion is live again.
Correct.
Yeah, so you go right into the vote, into taking action on this motion after the report comes back.
That is my understanding of the motion that has been made and seconded. So without further debate, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, show the motion to postpone Mr. Minor's motion approved. Thank you for coming down. I'm sure you have plenty of work to do upstairs.
Mr. Chair, can I raise one issue before Mr. Malloy leaves? I was looking at the rule that allows the district to piggyback, and it specifically says that you can piggyback on a contract that was awarded by another district. And I heard discussion that Collier may or may not have awarded the deal.
Right.
So I wasn't quite clear where that discussion ended up. So if Collier did not award the contract, then you can't rely on their.
We'll get with Ruth,
So we'll
our
follow
purchasing
up on
director,
that.
on that follow-up. That's what.
Yeah,
There-
that's fine. Just wanted to raise it before you left the room.
I was gonna say, their plan says that they use this company, but not for this product.
They're approved on their,
On
The
the
one
other
that piggyback.
computer
Covers a lot
products,
of-
but not
There's
what
a lot
we're
of
buying,
approved vendors
what
on
we're
that.
using them for.
They
Okay.
cover a lot of, yeah.
The question being whether the product that you picked,
Is under-
whether it was excluded from what's Collier's purchasing, so it's not approved by Collier. I mean, I think that's
We'll
what
get
you
with
gotta
her.
look at, yeah.
we'll look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Malloy.
You're welcome.
Sure you will. All right, members, we are on new business non-consent items. Madam Superintendent, on the approval of budget amendments for May 2018.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the budget amendments through May 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Vice Chair Messenger has moved the approval of budget amendments for May 2018. It's been seconded. Is there any debate? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Showing none, show the motion adopted. Mrs. Saunders, item number 2.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through May 2018.
So moved.
I'll second.
Having been moved by Mr. Minor and seconded by Vice Chair Messenger on the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through May 2018. Members, is there any debate? Hearing none, all in favor on the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through May 28th. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Showing none, show the motion adopted. Superintendent Saunders, item number 3.
Yes, I recommend the approval to use the State of Florida contract number 43211-500-WSCA-15-ACS for computer equipment, peripherals, and services, SDMC 15-0074-SM, not to exceed $5 million per fiscal year, revision 8.
So moved.
Motion's been moved by Mr. Minor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Having been moved and seconded by Vice Chair Messenger, members, is there any debate on the approval to use State of Florida contract number 43211-500-WSCA-15-ACS for computer equipment, peripherals, and services under School District Manatee County 15-0074-SM, not to exceed $5 million per fiscal year in revision 8. Here,
Only to say that I incorrectly spoke, because this was a consent item earlier, and it got moved, and rightly so, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I said that it was a consent item, and it's not. This is the CDW contract I was talking about.
right. All right, hearing no debate, no further debate, members all in favor of approving the motion to approve the use of the state contract, all in favor, aye?
CDW again, huh?
Aye.
They're everywhere. All right, show the motion carries. Superintendent Saunders, item number 4, approval of the Guardian Program.
Yes, I recommend the approval of assigning school safety guardians to meet the requirements of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act in the amount of $2,028,710.05.
So moved.
Having been moved and seconded, members, is there any debate on the approval of the Guardian Program? Ms. Vice Chair Messenger.
Yeah, I just had maybe, hopefully we could get some sort of update of the program. I know that there was, hiring and how that was all going.
We have 20
Mrs.
cadets
Rana.
in the training program, which started yesterday. It will go for 3 weeks and 3 days, and then they will be in the schools Thursday, the first week the kids are back. In the meanwhile, we'll also have regular law enforcement officers to cover, just like we did second semester of last year. During that period of time, we'll still be taking applications for another group of 20, and they will enter the program sometime in September.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I would like to commend Sheriff Wells for implementing the program. I think they started yesterday?
Yes.
Yesterday. And it's a group of highly qualified individuals, men and women.
Yes.
And so we look forward to following their progress. So members, we are on the motion to approve the Guardian Program recommended by the superintendent, assigning school safety guardians to meet the requirements of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Act in the amount of $2,028,710.05. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Showing none, show the motion adopted. Superintendent Saunders, item number 5.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the 2018-2019 Uniform State Assessment Calendar with district assessments.
So moved.
Having been moved, is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Cologne. Members, we are on the approval of the 2018-2019 Uniform Statewide Assessment Calendar with district assessments. Is there any debate?
I have a couple questions.
The Vice Chair Messenger for questions.
Well, I know we talked about this at the workshop, but, the public comments kind of made a couple more questions come to light, and so I just had a couple questions. For the computer software that we purchase, is there a possibility to use that money to pay for teachers?
No, ma'am.
Because it's a categorical.
Because it's categorical.
And then I think there was a comment about computer testing maybe around iReady, I think is maybe where it was about. How much of iReady is mandated by the school district, by the district itself, to be done per school?
That is listed in our, the calendar we provided. It is part of our required K-5 reading plan that we have to submit for progress monitoring. We use it as a diagnostic, so all students take the first diagnostic. It is also tied to teacher VAM scores for grades K through 2, and we use it for part of third for growth. In addition, if you're not on Tier 2 or Tier 3 intervention, it is up to the schools as to their individual usage. It is our Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention, but if you're not in your L300 schools, they predominantly could do the first diagnostic, and only students that need Tier 2 or Tier 3 are using the product. Some of it is school-based decision-making.
I guess that's what I was trying to get to.
It is not district mandated. Yes, ma'am.
That was my understanding, is what was district mandated was Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions.
Correct.
And to show progress monitoring.
Right.
And whether I like it or not, I mean, I think about my daughter, and I don't really have any desire to put her in front of a computer when she enters VBK in a year, so that.
In addition, for kindergarten, we are mandated to give a Flickrs assessment
Right, I
when
used to
they
give
come. So some of it is mandated. Remember, you can use alternative assessments for third grade promotion. In lieu of FSA, iReady is one of the state-approved programs that you can use for Good Cause portfolio. So it does serve a multitude of resources for the district, and it does align with the state's benchmark assessments.
I
and so
understand
forth.
that, and I recognize that that can help with promotions because of the, and I think you sent me the data linking the FSA to iReady.
Correct.
But I don't know if there's any data linking iReady to actually the standards.
We do have it correlated to the standards.
Because to FSA, to the standards, to iReady, I mean, you know what I mean? That's like a different, that's a different comparison than the two testing being compared. But what you're saying is tier 2 and tier 3. So let me ask you this: if there's somebody who's in tier 2 or tier 3, how much time do they spend on the computer per day?
It's 45 minutes a week for
Okay.
reading, 45 minutes a week for math.
That is what is county mandated for tier 2 and tier 3.
Yes, that you are correct.
And if it's happening more than that, you're saying it's school-based.
You are correct.
Okay.
And the iReady recommendation says just that, 45 minutes
A week.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I used it in Orange County. I think that was what, for my tier 2 and tier 3, that's what it was. But it seems like maybe at some schools it's more than that.
We try to go back and re-emphasize that, and we've discussed that again. It's more does not mean better.
Right.
In some cases, that it
More just means disinterest.
correct. So we are trying to address and work on that issue where we see that.
Okay, I would appreciate that. I think that's appropriate. I mean, I do think, and I think Mr. Minor's touched on this before, that there's, you're starting to lose a love of learning in schools, and it's happening sooner and sooner. So, any way we can foster that. That's it.
Any further questions?
No.
Right, hearing none, members, we are on the approval of the 2018-2019 Uniform Statewide Assessment Calendar with district assessments. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Showing none, the motion carries. All right, members, we are now on item number 6, which is the approval of the appointment of Mr. Chris Portale to the Audit Committee. We had a number of applicants. He applied through the district solicitation. The Audit Committee reviewed his background and resume, and the chair of the Audit Committee recommended that Mr. Joe Blitzko and I interview Mr. Portale. And I am happy to report that he is highly qualified. He had wanted to participate 5 years ago, but he realized that he, had other commitments and could not put in the time. He is both an experienced CPA and controller, and he also sits on the board of the Peace River utility. And I highly recommend the appointment of Mr. Chris Portale to the Audit Committee. That will round out our Audit Committee. And do I have a motion?
Is he present here?
I don't see him.
I'd like to grill him.
Did you say drill or grill?
Grill him.
Oh, okay.
And I will say he is a little younger than the other members. And
Is he as young as Mr. Ballard?
No. And he's lived in the county for quite some time, so. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Minor, seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Any debate or discussion, members? Hearing none, all in favor of appointing Mr. Portale to the Audit Committee? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and I think Ms. Messenger, if you'll reflect that Mr. Minor made the motion and Ms. Messenger seconded. For some reason, I hit my button too soon.
Huh.
All right. Thank you, members, and congratulations, Dr. Grusso. You now have a complete audit committee. Thank you. Thank you for your service. All right, members, we are now on item number 7, and the item is the approval of a resolution of grievances that relate and or pertain to the best and brightest scholarship for the year 2015-2016 related to teachers of advanced placement, international baccalaureate, and or the advanced international certificate of education teachers. And this is specifically for those teachers who timely applied for the best and brightest scholarship for the 2015-2016 school year and had a qualifying ACT and SAT test score. This issue is one that we have been dealing with for about 2 years. The background is that there was an issue related to either the VAM scores or the other component of determining qualification. There are basically 3 steps or 3 conditions to be met for participation in the Best and Brighter Scholarship Program with the state. One is that you have a qualifying ACT or SAT score. The second is that you meet the either VAM requirements or the other performance. And the third is that you actually file an application and produce documents to the school district to apply for consideration. So this motion is to authorize a settlement in the amount not to exceed $50,000 to settle the grievances for these teachers where they made timely application and met the ACT and SAT scores. Do I have a motion?
Is there anybody signed up for it?
I think there is, once we have a motion and a second.
Motion a second first.
So moved.
Having been moved by Mr. Cologne, do I have a second?
Okay, I'll second it.
Mr. Minor seconds it. Vice Chair Messenger, do we have any public comment?
Come on down, Ms. Wallace. I'm sorry, I don't have any music for you.
That's okay. That's okay. Maybe
I'll work on
maybe
it
you'll have
next
something
time.
else for me. It'll be great. Give me a second. Can I use this one, or do you want me to use my own school district computer? I have it.
Okay, well, then we'd have to plug it in.
Right.
Okay.
So this would be
So your
easier
comments,
and
you
better.
want to show that.
I can get mine, and we can unplug it, because we've been through this.
You're right. I thought you were gonna make the comments, but okay, let's,
Oh,
whatever we need to,
I can make the I can make the comment after your discussion. It doesn't bother me to do it after your discussion and vote.
Oh, we know,
It's
do
on
it
parliamentary
before.
procedure.
Go first.
Go
Are you-
for it.
go for it.
Do your
Yay.
thing, Heather.
Let's do it.
Okay. Oh, I'm already there. Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay.
And could you
Sorry, I
explain what
just
you're
turned it
showing
off,
us?
I
Is this a history of the issue?
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Okay, I'm struggling. You guys-
Is she
oh.
speaking on behalf of herself or a group that's involved in this?
I'm speaking for 5 tonight. Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of a group. I think you guys owe me a couple minutes too, so
Okay,
if you'll just let me
let's
get
move
set
it-
up.
move it
I
forward, move
turned it
forward.
off and turned
Move-
it on.
Move
so-
it. No.
Sorry.
But we will help you.
Okay, thank you for helping me. And while it's getting set up, again, the
presentation is not designed to be, what?
Can you tell us what we're gonna be seeing?
Oh, yes, so I was taken aback, that this issue has taken so long, and
I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand what Mrs. Boyes is saying.
also requesting, I'm gonna need a copy
Right.
Yeah.
she's getting ready to
Okay.
I can give you the.
Do you have anything else on that thumb
Sorry,
drive?
maybe we need
No,
to
there's
practice
nothing-
sign
No, shoot,
language.
if you'll leave that with us, then
There's
that'd be
nothing
great.
else on the thumb drive, so it can be attached to the minutes, and then you guys can put it on We Manatee if you want.
Okay, is there a reason why we're not playing it right now?
Yeah, the reason is I'm struggling to work this computer here.
Must be a new one.
Yeah, okay. Sorry.
Go to that folder on the bottom.
Yeah.
Go to the very folder,
Yeah, I'm
okay?
sorry,
Open up your thumb drive.
I'm a little nervous.
That's okay, you shouldn't be. You've been
You guys
playing this for
making
a
me
while.
nervous tonight. Congratulations. Oh, okay. How do I maximize?
Is that a lullaby or what?
Yeah, it's just to relax you guys. Hold on a second.
Put us to sleep now.
Okay.
See, there's the
All right,
music you were
so
needing
yeah,
to
okay,
walk on
all right,
down.
okay. So this is just a little synopsis of where we've been, because I was taken aback when I had some trouble presenting, but it really speaks to the larger issue. And we've heard a little bit tonight that we have different rules for different people. We make them up as we go along. We change them after the fact. And when people see things that are wrong and they say something, we vilify them. And that has to stop. And so a lot of people don't understand the issue, and then that makes them really not understand my demeanor sometimes. So again, not designed to be ugly, but just to kind of get us to a resolution. Oh yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good.
The teacher evaluation system, and any changes and agreements of the teacher evaluation system is made through the IPAC committee. That's correct, and I'll read it to you since I'm at the page. Section 2, Evaluation Committee. The parties agreed to have a committee of teachers and administrators study the evaluation system and recommend improvements. I don't have my glasses on, this is kind of small. The committee shall review any changes which may be required in the evaluation process by the Florida legislator and shall make recommendations to bargaining teams during the collective bargaining process. So that committee is known as IPAC.
The specific district policy?
Yes, sir.
No, sir, it's not in the presentation today.
Okay.
She didn't see it in the minutes. I don't see it in the minutes, but I can't answer, did they have that conversation, because I'm not at the meeting. If it wasn't in the minutes, I wouldn't know either, did they have that conversation? Because I don't attend those meetings. So I would say that probably the notice is probably not as good as it should be. If you're making changes, those changes need to be clearly communicated.
But that is clearly a break in communication. But no decision on what we are doing on the teacher evaluation system occurs without consultation and approval within this group.
Dr. Gibson and Mr. McCarthy, you were both not on the IPAC committee itself. You are there to carry out the wishes of the committee.
So is there any expectation of when
Monday,
we might expect this to be resolved?
I will say this to you. Come Monday, I would say at this point in time, I think it's fair that we have moved in the correct direction, and that we would like to see this thing resolved. And I for one do not want to pay outside counsel another dime. I'm requesting this of this board. Send me to arbitration, please. Send me to arbitration at this point in time. I cannot resolve this matter otherwise.
Which has an equal number of management and an equal number of MEA representing teachers.
So having a vacancy on the IPAC committee, is that kind of standard?
The things that we all try to do is we all try to take copious notes. When it comes back to another follow-up meeting, did someone not catch that the minutes were not accurately reflected based upon what was discussed in the notes that we had taken? I don't know.
I don't know enough about the details of the arbitration or to say, I'm not that close to what's been going on.
Titlebaum for response.
whether it's the board or the superintendent, our confidence does have to be in that IPAC committee, because that's what's in their contract.
Honestly, I have no idea.
Regard to that specific scenario, I'm not sure.
Thanks.
The intention of the committee was to try to do what was best for teachers.
Do that so that we can have better outcomes and err on the teacher's side.
To err on the side of teachers.
Take action, because I do believe, and to say we violated the law, it's true.
I think this has gone on long enough, and we have a teacher shortage. We have quality teachers who feel like they've been disenfranchised, and a board's responsibility at a point when it does not appear resolution is forthcoming, that we expect closure.
I think, honestly, that we are in the wrong and we could easily fix this.
All personnel must be fully informed of the criteria, data sources, methodologies, and procedures associated with the evaluation process before, the evaluation takes place. So it doesn't sound like we've been doing that.
You haven't been doing it, and it's real easy for you to fix it. And that's what I need tonight, and I think you can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Vice Chair, do we have any other speakers or presenters? Want to say?
Not that I know of.
Mr. Titlebaum.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Members of this board, I've had an opportunity to review today's action item, and this particular action item, I'm only going to make one suggestion to this board. We right now have arbitrations that are pending for the grievances. Without a union buy-in, this is nothing. Unless there's an agreement by the union that this will resolve the grievances, this will not resolve anything, unfortunately. So I will say to you, if we accept this as it is, this authorizes a settlement of up to $50,000 to resolve the grievances. Ultimately, that should be solidified in a writing with the union's counsel. If they agree to it, by all means, we'll have a settlement. And your conditions precedent are very clear, Mr. Chair, that it's for the employees that are advanced placement AP International Baccalaureate, IB Advanced International Certificate of Education ACE teachers who timely applied for the best and brightest scholarships for the 2015-16 school year and have qualifying ACT, SAT test scores. So again, I read this motion. I just want the union buy-in on it. So with your permission, if you grant this today, then the direction is Mr. Titlebaum, present the offer and formalize it.
Okay. Any other questions or debate? I will close. I am asking
I have some questions.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. I made a request for information a few days ago as to the number in the various categories of IB, Advanced, and the AIC who would qualify, for this best and brightest, who might qualify, who had otherwise met the ACT and the SAT standard requirements. And I don't believe I got an answer to that. And I got lots of stuff. Lots of stuff to the point there was confusion. I was very disappointed in the response. If that was a response, I don't know. It was just kind of simple, IB, this number, ACE, this number, advanced placement, this number. And I'm asking the district right now, what are those three numbers? That's all.
Superintendent Saunders for a response.
Yes, if I could have Dr. Sarah Brown come forward. She's our HR director. Executive director. She will be able to come. She has all those documents for you, Mr. Minor.
I'm not asking documents. I'm asking three numbers.
Right. She has all the information. So we'll make sure that it's conveyed.
Good evening.
Dr. Brown.
Yes.
There are two issues here that we're looking at, because one of them, the grievance was about a 16-17, and we're talking right now about 15-16. So there's two separate years that are in discussion right now.
I just asked for 15-16.
Yes, in 15-16, so what the documentation that we've been pulling through was test scores that were for the 16-17, because that was what had gone through. On the 15-16, we had not pulled out all of that particular category of teacher, because the group that was in question was from our 16-17 year. There were 26 people part of the 16-17. We can get you the information on your 15-16, but that was a different group that we were pulling apart. It was not the group that was being addressed through the grievance at the time. The part of the grievance was for years 16 and 17. 15-16 is a different set group, but there were 26 people that are part of that are in this grievance process at this time that meet that category.
Madam Superintendent, I still don't have an answer.
It sounds like it, you're right.
Well,
I asked for 3 numbers, and it wasn't like this morning or this afternoon. I asked for 3 numbers for 15-16 for these 3 groups. You know, did they, you know, with the SAT or the ACT, you know, how many qualified, you know, from this group of people for 15-16?
Mr. Minor,
If you don't have that information, okay, but it's not really okay. Why don't we have that information?
the information would come from our testing and evaluation. They have to pull that group out, because we have a large group of people that apply for the scholarship. We have approximately 200 folks that may apply each year, if not more. And not everyone qualifies meeting those criteria of the SAT, ACT at the 80th percentile and meeting the highly qualified evaluation. So when they apply, that has to be reviewed. What they teach at that particular time is not always reviewed. We went back and reviewed that particular group because of the grievance that was specific to those that were teaching that area. However, the year that you were asking for, the 15-16 year, was not the year that was being covered. So we would have to go back to our testing and evaluation folks to pull that data out.
Oh, let me stop for a second.
Yes.
Superintendent Saunders.
Mr. Minor, I just have gone through and researched my database. I might be able to answer the question you're asking. According to what I have for 15-16, there were 91 total teachers in the grievance, of which 26 are left in the group that have not been paid, that meet the test scores, that have the VAM in question. That is the number that I have from Evan McCarthy. So that's the number I have listed. Now, in terms,
I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed. I'm not asking for invention of uranium. I'm asking for 3 numbers for 15-16, and, you know, in several days, it would seem like that could be fished out. I'm just disappointed. Thank you.
that number was lumped into all of those categories. I don't have it broken out by AP, IBAs, but it certainly can be. But I do not have the documents by each party of who applied. That would be something that HR will have to go back. But we certainly can go back and see what subject each of those taught and provide that to you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think what may help, Ms. Ryan, I mean, you're correct, but I think what you have teachers who teach in the ACE program who also teach AP, so that's why the issue with these scores is this one category of teachers that either teach all 3 of these or one of them, but it's basically our advanced placement teachers and the International Baccalaureate and ACE, and it's all kind of
broken out.
One sort of category of teachers. So the one number is the 26. So and we have 2 motions to address tonight. The first one is this motion, we clearly have a few teachers who actually complied with the entire process, including making the application, submitting the supporting documentation, and they were basically denied based on these the score issue that is at hand. And so this particular motion would resolve the issue that we've been dealing with for 2 years for those teachers that actually made application. They did everything that they were required to do, and it was on the district side where we had an issue with regards to the VAM scores. And so my motion will provide, it will authorize a settlement for those teachers who clearly have documented, we have in the file, that they did apply, they felt they were entitled to the Best and Brightest Scholarship, they provided all the documentation, they made a timely application, and they were denied based on this issue of their students' performance. The reason why I have made this motion is I have confidence that these teachers who are in these classrooms with these students, most of them all year long, probably have a really good idea of the performance of their students based on their testing and scores, and they made application. And so we've got a motion to follow this one after this is approved that would deal with those who, for whatever reason have other issues, but they never applied for Best and Brightest. And one of the state requirements is that you apply to the district to be included in the scholarship. But Mr. Minor, your points are correct, because I too got a bunch of information and I had a tough time figuring out what I was receiving. I did not feel that it was a concise presentation of the questions that I think a number of us had. So with that, if there's no other further debate on this motion, again, the motion is to settle grievances against the School Board of Manatee County by authorizing a settlement in the amount not to exceed $50,000. This settlement is solely for those employees that are in the that are teachers for the International Baccalaureate, Advanced Placement, and or the Advanced International Certificate of Education teachers who timely applied for the Best and Brightest Scholarship for the 2015-2016 school year and have a qualifying ACT test score. If there's no other debate, members, if you'll please vote on the... Oh, I'm sorry. Vice Chair Messenger.
I have a question. Did teachers know their evaluation score before they could apply for the Best and Brightest Scholarship?
For which year?
For, let's say, 15-16, we're talking about 15-16, did they know that score before they could apply?
In 15-16, the score that was used, because it's always in arrears.
Mhm.
So for the 15-16, the scores would have been for 14-15. The test score would have been granted in 14-15 for the application in 15-16. So it's the year before.
Okay.
In the 15-16 year, the scores were not out yet for 14-15. This was the first year that the state awarded the scholarship in 15-16. The test scores that would have been able to be used were not available yet. So, in order to award people so they would know, the 13-14 test scores had to be used for qualification for the 15-16. There was no way to allow that.
So they did know a score.
Yes, because there was no way to know that the 14-15 weren't here, and that wasn't fair to people. And how when the state had their dates, they had their deadlines. They've since changed it. Every year they've improved or changed, however you want to look at it, how they go about doing the process. They have made changes where that first year they did not use composite scores for SAT and ACT. In 16-17, they used composite scores for qualifying for the Best and Brightest in 16-17. There were different categories, and then they're going to change it again through legislation in years to come where they're going to use down to the 77th percentile. That's not in yet, but there's continued to be changes for each year is not exactly the same, is what I'm sharing. There's different qualifications, but every year it is fact that the score you earned in the year before is what helps. That's whether you're highly qualified or, if you're highly effective or if you're an effective teacher, is the part that is reviewed. They need to have that highly effective score in the year before when they apply. So that's how it works. But as I said, the scoring each year is a little bit different because they changed from 15-16 in how the state made their requirements for 16-17. So this grievance there's two different pieces of the puzzle here.
So we're dealing with one piece of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me though, if I was a teacher,
yes,
or I was a teacher, and I got my score, and it said, "Oh, I'm not highly effective, or effective or whatever," and I said, "Okay, well, there's no point in applying for best and brightest."
You're right.
Then I wouldn't have applied for it because I wouldn't have tried because I already saw my score. So to me, it doesn't seem quite fair to penalize teachers. If we're saying that things perhaps weren't calculated correctly, it seems like we're penalizing teachers for, in essence, not wasting their time because they thought, I don't have a chance, I see my score, I don't have it, why apply? So to me, that seems like that might be a hindrance with this because I don't necessarily feel like if I were a teacher, if I saw my score, I wouldn't. Why would I waste my time?
That's the group in the second motion. This is the ones who felt they qualified, they filed the application, they put in all the data. We're going to get to
So there will be
Mr.
no
Ken-
overlap between these two.
There should not be, absolutely, you're correct.
Okay, then.
I'd like to take the first group where it's clear that they actually applied. And because we kind of maybe messed up, they were denied, but they made an application, they met the ACT score. So I'd like to get this, my suggestion is that we take care of this first group, and then in 4 minutes, we're gonna go to the next motion with Mr. Kennedy. Is he still on the line? So if we could, are you okay with that?
I have one other question.
Okay.
You'll have to forgive me because I had to run to the ladies' room because I drank a giant Slurpee before I got here, or while I was sitting here. So I might have missed this, but is there a danger of, if we approve these things, is there a danger of overpaying, having to pay twice, having to come up with a different agreement with more money?
It's a great question, and this is the biggest concern. If you authorize a settlement up to $50,000, the union will have to accept it. So here, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't go ahead and say, we'll accept this partial amount of money without the union's release. It will not work because basically they'll take the $50,000, split it amongst teachers, and take us to arbitration still for a balance.
Well,
So it would not work otherwise.
But this is specifically for a class of teachers that made the application, met the ACT, SAT requirements required. We're gonna get to part two, and I'm hoping that that MEA will work with us, address this group. This group would not get paid twice.
They would have to, if they would, I would, as your attorney, want a settlement for that particular group under this proviso, a settlement agreement in writing with the union. And I have no indication from the union. I cannot speak to Ms. Barber on this particular issue. It's all done through counsel. She has her own attorney. So I have no idea if it will do it or not, but the motion itself is for an amount not to exceed $50,000 with a few caveats.
For these specific teachers.
Correct.
Okay,
ABIP ACE.
So if this were to be approved, then you will then work towards making that agreement, is what I'm hearing.
Well, I would go ahead and the settlement offer will be relayed to her attorney, though she's here in the audience. It will be relayed to her attorney. She'll speak to her members and make a decision, and then we'll formalize it. If the answer is yes, guess what? It'll be formalized. I'll bring it back to the board for approval and for ultimately authorizing the final settlement of it.
And worst case scenario, if it's not approved, then what happens?
We'll go into arbitration.
And what happens to this pot of money?
This pot of money it is never spent. This pot of money, it's an authorization not to exceed. It did not exceed anything. It didn't go anywhere, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, can you clarify for me? I'm looking at this, 11:39 a.m., July 24th. message about these agenda amendments. And I think we're talking about the top one. Am I correct here? It says, agenda amended, and add to new business, approval of resolution of grievances that relate and or pertain to best and brightest scholarship not to exceed $50,000.
For
Is
the
that it?
specific, correct.
Okay, now, for say, these specific, now, it doesn't say what specific here and what I received.
It should be there, because what was sent out was the full text, so maybe it's further in the.
Okay. I don't have anything here that clarifies this. Maybe there's something I didn't receive. Can somebody, can you or somebody clarify?
I think the clerk sent it out. I will ask the clerk, when the information was sent to the board members and others, notifying them of the multiple amendments to the agenda, was the executive summary, which includes this language, in that attachment or on the website?
It was posted to the website. That's what the notification was, that the agenda had
And
been
there was a link.
amended.
There was a link in the email that took you to the executive summary.
The email that doesn't,
Yes.
it just notifies that the agenda has been republished. It does not provide a link to the new, I mean, they would still have to go.
Right.
Okay. Can we take a 5-minute break, and maybe somebody can print that out for me, because I don't have that.
Mr. Minor, it is included in your book. If you will look
Okay.
in your binder under new business, it is listed as tab number 7.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under tab number 7, in my book, I have AMI Kids Renewal Contract.
You're in the wrong section. It's more towards the back of your book.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Chair, thank you very much. I don't see a number attached in this explanation as to the number of people that this would be dealing with. We have a figure of 50,000. Is that 5, 10, 25 teachers? Do we have a number involved?
I believe the administration had a number of somewhere in between 4 and 5. And this amount would be sufficient to provide them with a payment equal to what they would have received had their names been forwarded to the Department of Education for being eligible for the Best and Brightest Scholarship for 2015-2016.
Now, in here, we also, it doesn't say with respect to what year we're talking about.
It does.
It does, okay.
It does. The last sentence under the executive summary.
I thank you for correcting me. Applied to the best and brightest scholarships for the 2015-2016 school year. And this would be for 4 or 5 teachers during that year. Now,
Yes, sir.
we don't have a breakdown as to what is IB or AP or ACE, or do we have a breakdown?
Superintendent Saunders.
We do not have them spelled out in that cadre, Mr. Minor, because some of them are overlapping. They teach some sections of ACE and AP, some of IB and AP. We can go through and break it out that way, but they're all part of that one advanced placement college board type configuration. But if you need that information tomorrow, we will certainly go through and give you that as well.
Good, yeah, I would think that there would be available, this teacher is involved with both IB and ACE.
Yes,
or
we
something
can
like
certainly
that.
list it like that.
And another one is just an AP or something.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minor.
Does this is to address all the teachers in those categories?
Correct.
And
Well,
my-
that actually made the application for, the required application for best and brightest.
Okay.
The other 21, 22 teachers are being addressed in the next motion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minor. Mr. Cologne.
Okay, mine's an easy one. I would respectfully request that whatever motion we do pass, have a caveat in it that by accepting this, it is a final. In other words, they cannot come back to us for any additional funds. It is an accepted settlement.
That's what a settlement would be.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. No,
With
good
both
point.
of
Good
them.
point.
That's all.
Good point.
I don't want to hear about this again.
Okay.
Mr. Cologne?
Good point.
From you especially.
Yeah, I hear
Good
you,
point.
boss.
All right, members, if there's no other
That's it.
a debate, all in favor of approving the motion to settle the grievances against the School Board of Manatee County by authorizing a settlement in the amount not to exceed $50,000. This settlement is solely for those employees that are advanced placement, international baccalaureate, advanced international certificate of education teachers, any or those who timely applied for the Best and Brightest Scholarship for the 2015-2016 school year and have a qualifying ACT and SAT test score. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Show
Charlie
Mr.
votes
Kennedy.
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Show that motion unanimously adopted. Now, members, we are on the next motion, which is from Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy, would you like me to introduce it, or would you like to introduce it?
Dr. Holmes, thank you. Is this I'm now in the car on my way to leaving the airport property. Is this the Amendment 8 resolution?
Yes, sir, with the amount not to exceed $110,000.
Oh, well, with the last motion that just passed unanimously, that kind of renders that one moot because we have now dealt with it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it moot. It doesn't make it moot. Your motion would address those teachers who did not file an application for the Best and Brightest Scholarship, because it's my understanding there are members in the grievance who did not make an application.
Okay. Wow, this is really hard to do in the car. I guess what I would suggest here is that because if my understanding is correct, what we have just done with the previous motion is agree to set aside a pot of money for a handful of teachers who either were denied based on VAM, or let me put it another way, that can prove they applied for it and were denied based on their something other than their AP, IB, ACE student growth score, correct?
No. These would be teachers who were denied for something other than an SAT and ACT score. In other words, they met all of the requirements by law. They made a timely application. They had the qualifying ACT or SAT scores and were not reported favorably to the Department of Health because of the VAM score or miscalculation or whatever. But they applied. They strongly felt that they were eligible. They made application, and they made it timely. So it's my understanding there may be other members other teachers in the grievance who did not make application and, may or may not had the SAT scores or ACT scores, but they would not be. So these two groups are mutually exclusive.
Okay. Mr. Chair, may I address that then?
Yeah, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Again, not a good day for American Airlines. My apologies to everybody. Yeah, so I guess my vision here is that we would set aside this pool of money for anybody, as you just said, anybody who did not apply, perhaps thinking, well, my VAM score is going to preclude me from this, but now that we're going back and relooking at what happened in the fallout, they may realize that they would have been eligible had they not been discouraged by their teacher evaluation.
Correct.
Score.
You're absolutely correct. That's one member of this class that your motion would address. Correct.
Okay, so we can proceed then. I will listen from here on out.
Okay, so I will go ahead and present, and I gotta make sure I go to the right point. This is item number 8, and the motion from Mr. Kennedy is, let me find my place here. Settlement offer is designed to end the grievance process through an agreement of both sides that we can come to an equitable compromise compensating AP, IB, ACE teachers who were rated highly effective and had a sufficient ACT or SAT score to qualify for the Best and Brightest Awards for 2015-2016 school year. So these would not be those that actually made the application. And the motion is to direct the superintendent to offer a settlement in the class action grievance regarding the 2015-2016 teacher evaluation plan not to exceed $110,000. Do I have a motion? Okay, having been moved, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kennedy seconds. Okay. Mr. Teitelbaum, you are raising your hand.
So it's really clear and we get separated out. In the first motion that we made, we had conditions precedent, things that were required. You had to have an application. You have to be a teacher of a particular class. You have to have the ACT, SAT test score. In your second, so we're clear on that. That was up to $50,000. Now, in the second motion, it's basically for those that would have applied but did not apply, but would be still considered your conditions precedent, highly effective, and have the sufficient AC or SAT score. The difference is you did not apply.
They did not apply for whatever reason.
Understood. And it's very clear. I'm just breaking it down in easier ways of dissolving it.
Right.
And your amount is not to exceed $110,000.
Correct.
But you still have two conditions precedent.
Correct.
Understood.
Correct.
And also subject to the union agreeing to it.
Correct.
And formalized settlement as per Mr. Cologne, so I don't get yelled at.
Correct. Correct. Mr. Minor for debate?
Thank you, sir.
For clarification, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Okay, for clarification.
I'm not sure what is the class here. Does this include both union and non-union members who had, some concerns?
Yes.
Okay, because I think Mrs. Wallace is not a member of the union.
Right.
She should be. Or I shouldn't advertise that, I guess, but
Right now, remember the warning that we had from council on.
Mr. Minor, why don't you make a motion to stick that in the settlement that she has to join the union?
No. We were educated on the fact we cannot do that.
This is complicated enough, but I guess the answer that I'm getting is that whether, the teacher is a member of the union or not, they could participate, in this settlement and get a pro rata share I guess. I don't know what the criteria are.
I think it's the same as, even though a teacher's not part of the union and the union negotiates their salaries, the teachers still get the salary that the union negotiated. So it's kind of the same
She can, she has her.
thing.
She's bound by her rules.
So this, any teacher, regardless of their membership status in the MEA, is, my understanding, is a party to this grievance.
That is
Mr. Teitelbaum.
absolutely correct. The bargaining agent for our teachers and our paraprofessionals is the MEA. And whether Ms. Wallace, and I'm just using her as an example.
No, please.
No, it was already published, ma'am. Whether or not they're members or not, they are under collective bargaining by statute, and the MEA
So
does
let me just,
does
did that,
negotiate for
Mr.
everybody.
Minor, does that address your question?
Mr. Chair, we had a very improper interruption in this sacred proceeding by Ms. Wallace, saying this is a new item. And I think the counsel for the district correctly said, no, this is not a new item because it's been on the agenda for 8 hours, and and so it's a very old item that Ms. Wallace and everybody in this community has had a chance to understand and respond to. And I agree, with the district counsel along that line. But even with that agreement, this is a separate item that was not noticed so that anyone affected or not affected could sign up, to give insight and comments, applause or onions for this. And I think it would be very appropriate to allow Ms. Wallace to address this additional item as of this noon, I think, and provide insight.
Okay, I would just make note that we just passed a motion that addresses Ms. Wallace. So if this proceeds, she's not party to item number 8 because she did make a timely application for best and brightest.
Well, could we allow her 2 minutes to address these?
Ms. Wallace, wait a second. Just hear me out here, okay? You've shown a video. We've passed a motion that addresses your issue, your grievance. Mr. Minor is offering you the floor.
Okay, give her 2 minutes.
Yeah, all right. Ms. Wallace. And please be respectful of staff, okay?
I will.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't enjoy. Yeah. Okay. A couple of things. One, on Mr. Cologne's caveat, which I like, just know that me coming back is not something I enjoy. It hasn't ever been done correctly. Right, but I don't think you were.
Okay, let's not argue. Make your comment.
Okay, all right, but there is a grievance, and this is not the appropriate forum to be negotiating a grievance. I agree with Mr. Teitelbaum on that, but there's also been a statutory violation. And when statutes are violated, all school district employees have a responsibility and an obligation to report those violations. And so whether or not it deals with me directly or not, on behalf of my colleagues, it is my job to report when you have not filed statutes. And as a board, your job is to make sure they're followed. So this particular motion you're discussing is authorizing an offer for a settlement, which actually could happen at any time. The superintendent and the attorneys can reach out to the union at any time, okay? But what you should be doing if you really want to fix the statutory violation is actually pass a motion similar to 7 if you want to on behalf of these teachers. You're right, it doesn't deal with me. But you guys, I think you're doing a great job. I'm not trying to be ugly, but there has been misinformation that's already been given, and it needs to be corrected, but I'm not going to have time to walk you through.
So just one question. Are you for this motion?
I think that it needs to be reworded. I do not like authorize the superintendent to offer settlement to Ms. Barber. Ms. Barber and the attorneys have an opportunity to negotiate in a different setting. I don't think the motion does anything the way it's worded, because if Ms. Barber does not think it's appropriate, then it doesn't do anything. If the amount is not equivalent to the best and brightest when you divide it by those that qualify, and I don't know what that is, then I don't know if she would want to accept it or not. It's not my place to say, and this isn't the forum. But I do think it's a step in the right direction. Let's get it done before school starts so that the teachers can teach. That's
Okay.
the fun part.
Ms.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Minor?
may I correct Ms. Wallace? The motion says motion and approval to direct the superintendent to offer, okay?
She has to accept
I know, but a moment ago you said authorize the superintendent, and the motion is to direct. So, but I think that Ms. Wallace brings up an important question. How many people, how many teachers could possibly be in this group concerning this item?
Thank you for the correction. I was in class today, so I didn't
Okay,
read
you're
it. Sorry.
forgiven, okay.
I think I heard the superintendent mention 26, so if there's 4, let's assume 5 that are going to be addressed in the prior motion, then we would be down to 21 or 22.
Okay.
And just as a point of information, Ms.
Mr.
Barber.
Cologne for a comment.
Ms. Barber has not accepted anything or said anything. So don't, say that she's negotiating, because she's
Okay,
not.
all right.
She hasn't said a word.
Mr. Minor?
Well, okay, it gives us some perspective. About 21 or 22 for 110, so it's about 5,000 apiece, something of that
If they all
magnitude.
end up qualifying.
Anyway, that's on the table. Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. So it's been moved, it was seconded, I'm not,
What?
I think you seconded this.
Yeah. Okay.
so
I'll
show
take everybody.
Mr. Minor seconding this motion.
Kennedy seconded.
Oh, Kennedy, oh, you're right. Mr. Kennedy, are you still with us, Mr. Kennedy? Are you in the parking lot?
Where are you, Mr.
No.
What?
Okay, all
In
right.
the parking lot?
Okay, so you
Come
show
on.
Mr. Kennedy seconding Ms. Messenger's motion. All right, are there any other questions, debate? No? Okay. No. I'm getting ready to, so all in favor of the motion to direct the superintendent to offer a settlement in the class action grievance regarding the 2015-2016 teacher evaluation plan for compensating AP, IB, ACE teachers who were rated highly effective and had a sufficient ACT or SAT score to qualify for the Best and Brightest Awards for the 2015-2016 school year. Members, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show the motion unanimously adopted.
Mr. Chair, could we take a 5-minute recess?
Without objection, Mr. Minor moves that we take a 5-minute recess?
Yeah.
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Okay, 10-minute recess. The board stands in informal recess for 10 minutes. We will meet back at 8:40.
Dr. Kennard, did you give me your?
if we can ever get everybody back. I was pretty specific, 8:40, where is everybody? All right, the board will reconvene. He was. All right, I believe, General Counsel, Mr. Dye has a couple of comments based on earlier public comment. Mr. Dye, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to mention the two offers of settlement that the board just approved. During the discussion by Mrs. Wallace, she indicated that there were violations of statute on the part of the board or the district staff. I just want to go on record as saying the offers of settlement should not be construed as any kind of admission of violation of statute. Right. I don't think that has occurred, and if the settlement is approved, the opportunity to prove violations of statute will go away. That'll be part of the settlement. So I just don't want the offer of settlement to be construed as an admission of any kind. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, well, we have a quorum. Mr. Kennedy, are you still on the line? He's not. Members, item number 9 is Mr. Kennedy's. I would entertain a motion to postpone that, or?
So moved. I'd like to postpone.
Second. Okay, having been moved and seconded, and hearing no debate, members, we are on approving a motion to postpone item number 9. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Show it approved. All right, members, are there any requests for agenda items or workshop items? Ms. Messenger? Hearing none, great. Mr.
I'd
Colon.
like to maybe do another one on security in the schools.
We have it scheduled.
Okay.
It is for, I think we have an
I
executive
thought
session.
we had one, but I wasn't.
We have an executive session on the 31st,
Okay.
where we are going to a deep dive with staff on security and get a very, very detailed update on where we are by school.
I would like that update to include fencing
It's gonna.
and all the other options that we've talked about in the past.
We are
That's all
going
I'll
to,
say.
for members of the public, the board is very serious about our safety program. I think we're on the right track. We have an executive session where the board will meet with staff. We will probably have the sheriffs and police chiefs joining us again. And so I think that will handle your request. I have no others. Part of the, we do have some prior requests with regards to our bylaws and operating procedures. That will all be part of the work that the superintendent's going to talk with us about when she makes her remarks. But that is forthcoming. With that, Mr. Dye, do you have a legal update?
Mr. Chair, one item. Late this afternoon, a lawsuit was provided or served on the district styled DJH, excuse me, its initials DJH and others versus the school board. The reason I'm bringing it up, it's a tort, and it involves a student in a classroom. So I just want to warn the board that this is covered by FERPA. So in discussions out and about in the public, we need to be careful not to reveal anything about a student's status.
Okay, so noted.
It's been referred to outside counsel for representation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Titlebaum.
Very quick update. In conjunction with the Director of Security, Patrick Bartholomew, on August 14th, my office with Patrick will be training our guardians on the legal aspects in conjunction with the Sheriff's Office. So it's a nice group meeting. We're going to the port, and we're going to present a very comprehensive PowerPoint presentation. HR should be involved as well. And what we're doing is indoctrinating them into the school culture, the code of student conduct, the statutory language, some of the do's and don'ts, and some great fact-based scenarios of what to encounter as a guardian at the school level. It's a PowerPoint which has been a labor of love the last 2 days, I think over 70 slides, but I have 3 hours to fill.
Okay, thank you very much. Superintendent Saunders for an instructional update.
Good. Can I ask some questions of our council?
Sure. Do you want to go ahead and turn on the microphone?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Dye, I understood that we have a case involving some student attacked in the classroom, is that correct?
I'm sorry, Mr. Minor, would you say that again?
Okay. Did I understand that in one of the cases that you're following involved a student who was attacked in a classroom?
It involves a student in an incident that occurred in the classroom.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's an attack or anything. I mean, I've just seen this complaint and the allegations in the complaint, and it's about a tort. They believe that a tort happened to the student while in the classroom.
And do you have any information, without giving any names, as to an actor involved with this, causing this tort?
Do we want to get into that?
Would you like to do a one-on-one, Mr. Meyer?
My suggestion would be meet with counsel.
Yeah, I'm a little reluctant to get into it because of the student.
Okay, I don't want any names, but I was wondering, to what extent there might be any kind of liability, issues to the district involved with this.
Well, anytime you're sued in a tort, there might be liability. I mean, that's.
Okay, where it's a student apparently injured in a classroom.
Mr. Meyer,
Yeah.
I highly recommend you meet privately with counsel.
I'll be happy to sit down with you and go through the whole thing. I'll show you the complaint.
And you can do that after the meeting if you'd like, but I highly recommend that because we were just served with this suit, that you meet with him privately.
And that's my recommendation too, Mr. Meyer.
And I guess, we've you're discussing that with our, safety officers here in the district, correct?
I'm sorry?
He was just served today.
Okay.
Thank you. Superintendent Saunders for the instructional update.
Thank you very much. I would like my assistants to come help present for me. What I'm going to show you, and I've given you a demo recently on our district instructional dashboard. We have now loaded all of our state scores on it. So I wanted to just kind of walk through with the audience so that you could see how anyone could go to the dashboard and pull the data themselves. So if you go to our main page, you go to District About Us. You can then go through and it just says District Data Dashboard. So we will show you a couple of examples so you can go to the district grade. You can click on any specific, but we're hitting the total grade configuration. As you can see on the dashboard, and part of this I wanted to showcase because it did come up in the finance committee meeting the other day. There were conversation and concern about metrics of accountability, of showing student academic improvement. And they wanted to make sure that the initiatives put in place were going to tie back to student performance. So we will be able to go in here and you can compare this year. As you look at the dashboard, it has 17-18 and compares the district to the prior year. So you have a number of metrics that you can look at. And you can see in each of the buckets for the district grade as we compared to the year before. But if you also want to compare the district to any other district in the state of Florida, you can go to the drop-down menu item, and you can click any one of the 67 counties. Pick a good one for us,
Osceola.
Kelly. Osceola, he says. Let's pick Osceola. All right. Well, that was a great one, Mr. Minor, because we're outperforming them. Maybe yay, maybe nay. Oh, or is it the same? I think we're ahead with the same percentage, aren't we?
Any other friends, Mr. Minor?
I like that one.
Seminole.
Seminole County.
If that's what he does to his friends.
Okay, Seminole County.
I was wondering whose legs those were that went by me.
Did you come from the Bahamas or what?
Chicago.
Really?
Okay, Mr. Minor, that was the wrong pick. But nonetheless, you can easily see how you can compare our district to any other district in the state of Florida. We can compare like size. But even if you wanted to compare different years or if you wanted to compare schools, so we can go, let's go back to, the homepage, then we go to school grades. You can easily go in and compare schools per year. So if one of the initiatives is ensuring that we're adding STEM teachers to all the 32 elementary schools, we could easily go back for the last 3 years and see how our fifth grade science scores compared to prior to the initiative, and then how are we doing once we've put the initiatives in place. And Doug is working hand in hand with our curriculum department to ensure that our fifth grade science scores are going to improve. So as you know, when we're looking at some of the metrics for elementary, it may say blank. That's because those cells do not pertain to elementary. They don't have middle school acceleration or graduation and so forth. So it only fills in the cells that they have. So you're able, as you can see, we compared Anna Maria 2016-17 to Anna Maria 15-16. And, we're able to keep this matriculation in place so that we can go back. We only go back for the years of FSA. So we didn't go back beyond FSA because comparing FCAT to FSA, it's not apples to apples. But we will continue to update that dashboard, and we're in the process now. Ron and his team is working on a operations dashboard that we will have the sales tax initiative and the millage tax. That it will be updated once a month, that anyone, the community or the board can easily go and pull up information they need without having to search or ask for district personnel to do it. Any questions? Charlie, are you with me? Oh, I'm good. Okay, he's good.
Thank
No
you.
questions. Good for
All
Seminole.
part of Transparency Manatee, so thank you very
Absolutely.
much. It's great work.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Mr. Serrano, operations update.
Yes, next Tuesday, we just want to remind everyone that the Barbara A. Harvey Elementary groundbreaking ceremony will take place at 8:30 in the morning. So we just wanted to send everyone a reminder of that. A little update on hiring processes. I do want to pass out. We do have 3 billboards out, 2 in Hillsborough and 1 in Pinellas, advertising our teacher salaries and hiring for candidates, and I'm sure they're really pleased with that. And so I just wanted to share that with you in case you drive by. I didn't want anyone to drive off the road when you saw it. It's one of those digital billboards. Vacancies, we're looking at around a little over 100 teachers right now. But again, we're processing those. We have offers out. We're just waiting for some of those to get processed. We have 40 food service, 20-some custodial positions, and 15 bus drivers and aide positions that are out there. So we're making a lot of progress, a lot of headway, and we're working feverishly to make sure that all our classrooms are filled on the first day of school. Okay. In case you see a little new caboose going around, it's a pickup truck with a little food caboose on the back. We're in partnerships with our food service personnel and with Tropicana, and we're feeding our students in the city of Bradenton. So it's a new food trailer and to feed our hungry students throughout the summer. And we make 4 stops throughout the day, and it's not based on income. We feed kids up to 18 years old. And communications will be sending out a little flyer on that with a couple photos. And so it's a great initiative. Of course, everyone knows that we did go live, and so we are really excited about that. In addition to that, we really weren't celebrating until we got payroll done, and so we've been working feverishly on that for the last several days. The real test tomorrow will be that check our bank accounts and make sure it's there, but we did push the money out. We had the soft serve, the employee self-service. We told people to go online and start looking at their paychecks, and if they did see any discrepancies or concerns. And of course, we did have some hiccups here. Everything is fixable. So we are dealing with the staff issues one-on-one, and we'll have those corrected. And so we're really celebrating that, and it's a long time coming. I know all of you that have been with this project for the last couple years have known whether it was actually going to happen or not, but the staff really dedicated themselves to it. And district-wide, there's some growing pains with this. We know that, but we're going to continue to work with people and deal with them. So we just ask for everyone's patience. As Scott mentioned earlier about going building to building, we're doing that with maintenance and operations. We've highlighted every single building that has any types of needs, and we're working with those on a daily basis to get everything ready for the start of school. And so we're working with our own staff as well as the administrative staff to make sure everything's in line for the first day of school. Transportation also has their new GPS technologies in place for the new school year for the elementary, middle school, and high school. And this is the tracking device where you have real-time notification of where the bus is for each of those schools. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Serrana. Superintendent Saunders for the superintendent remarks. Double duty.
Double duty.
We thank
that's
you.
good.
We're getting our money's worth.
Yeah, yes, you are. I would like to echo Mr. Serrana's comments about his team. I don't know if any of you have driven by this building the last few weekends or late at night, but you would think we're in operation because even though we are on summer hours for 4 days, people have been working 7 days a week for quite some time. So even though with a new rollout, there might be a couple of hiccups, I feel confident that the team of folks that are working are going to work out those bugs, and everyone will be paid accordingly. So I know that we're going to be real pleased with the product once we've got everything in operation. But they've been working very diligently, so I would like to echo that and thank them for their work. In addition, on the instructional side, we had our new teacher orientation the last 2 days. Today was at Braden River High School. We had a large turnout there. Ms. Barber, I think, provided lunch for the group. And our Manatee Foundation, yes, you're right, MEA. And our foundation provided breakfast, so we definitely appreciate the partnership and the turnout that we've had so that our new teachers, new to the district and new to the profession, are starting out on the right foot when our students return. The only other item I would like to suggest, and this was brought up to me by Dr. Vogel as a suggestion, I would like to recommend that we bring in the FADs for a technical assistance update. 5 years ago, the district had a thorough review of all of our departments and programs. They conducted a pretty extensive survey and study, and he suggested that it would be the appropriate time to bring that same technical group back. FADS provides that assistance at a very small fee. And what that will do is give an insight, really it's provided to the superintendent, but it provides information to the board as well, so that we can see the strides that the district has made in the 5 years since the original group came in. He indicated that he can bring the exact same personnel that came embedded each department. So I would like to recommend that suggestion and provide that opportunity if the board so wishes. So, other than that, that's my conclusion of my updates.
Great. And I'll just comment on that it's part of the collaboration between the Florida School Board Association and the Florida Association of District School Superintendents in helping us both with the transition and to prepare for the superintendent search. And a majority of the funding is provided through grants. Part of it's the Department of Education, where they provide a mentor for the new superintendent. I think it's a great idea to have them come back in and update the studies that were done 5 years ago on our finances, on our operations. They'll look at academics. And as I think Mr. Meyer was probably here during the last process, they bring in seasoned veteran and expert former superintendents and CFOs and CIOs, and it's really an invaluable service. With that, Mr. Cologne, would you like to start us off on board comments?
Sure, I'll make it really brief so we can get out of here. I want to once again thank the Florida School Board Association and Carol in particular for the Master Board training. I think it was exceptionally helpful. I think it kind of brought into focus for a few of us exactly what board members are supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. Now, if we can all just follow that, we'll be on our way to a good situation. And I was also out with my wife at the old sand pile having dinner the other day, and lo and behold, the Alumni Association was having their alumni event at the sand pile, a reunion for the class of 1998, in which I met a lot of the members, and it was a great little event, and it saved them a price of $70 at the Marriott. So a good time seemed to be being had by all, and I left because my wife and I are just a little long in the tooth to be hanging out with those young people. So that's all I have to say. It was a great event for the class of 1998, and I commend them.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, from your days of travel and...
What a long meeting for me today. Well, first, I want to apologize to my
You were
board
very
colleagues.
effective in the meeting, by the way.
Yeah, and that was, Michelle, I got to thank Michelle because she did a ton of work over the weekend. I've been in Chicago for 4 days for a family wedding, and I was back and forth with Michelle over the weekend and yesterday and then again today. And so, Michelle, thank you for going above and beyond. And yeah, today it was like trains, planes, and automobiles, and an Uber in there, and it was just,
Do you get a discount?
No, I don't. No, I gotta pay full. I gotta pay full ride.
Is that a commercial?
No, not at all. But it was a crazy day, and it was a little tough to hear things, but I could basically follow along for the parts where I could listen in and comment. And I want to thank you guys for putting up with me on that. And also with the teacher and the grievance items, it's been a long time coming, and I appreciate that we as a board and as a district are taking steps to, kind of build bridges and kind of mend fences, as it were, and just kind of make things right. And so I think today's meeting was one of the more positive. Because of that, was one of the more positive ones we have had in a while. So anyway, it's that old saying, like, you make plans and God laughs, and many laughs were had today. So anyway, that's it for me, and I'll see you all in a couple weeks.
All right, thank you. Welcome. Mr. Minor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got an autograph last night from one of our graduates, and there was an article in the Braden and Herald yesterday morning about Troy D. Williams, who is an actor and a heck of a nice guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he graduated, I guess, 8 years ago from Southeast, high school, and went to UCF, graduated, and became a actor, and he was having his world premiere of his movie out here at out in Oneeko at the 20, I forget what they call it.
The Royal Palm.
The Royal Palms, thank you. And so I wandered over, and I got his autograph, and I gave him a letter on behalf of the board saying, we're very proud of you. And I sat through the movie, and it was very nice. It had a nice plot, and it's very well done. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot about Troy D. Williams, in the future in the movie industry. I want to say something. We had this very complex budget, and Ryan McKinnon had a great article, I thought, describing it. And he is not here tonight.
He had a conference.
He had a conference.
He's on vacation, they told me.
Okay.
No, he's at a conference.
Well, it was very well written. It was a great analysis. It pulled it together and I think explained it very well. And I just want to thank you, Ryan, out there and wherever you might be. There was an article, Jim Jones, who's a great writer and has been around for a long time with the Braden and Herald. And he did an article about a book coming out regarding the sinking of the Indianapolis on July 30th, 1945. And the connection to Bradenton is this. One of our teachers, David Twyble, who teaches at Palmetto, his father was a hero and one of the few survivors of that sinking. And Harlan Twyble, he is a very soft-stated man, but he played a part in rescuing hundreds of sailors, after the sinking there in the Pacific while sharks were circling around to, take them away. And the Indianapolis, the article has a picture. Harlan died, 6 months ago. Just a wonderful guy. I considered him a good friend. We went to some veterans meetings. I relished being with him. But it had a picture of Don Howison, and it says he's one of 14 survivors of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis in 1945, and the last remaining officer. Harlan was an officer too, but he's now deceased. Digress regarding Harlan, David's father. He graduated from Annapolis June 1945, something like June 10th. Got married on June 11th to a wonderful lady from Ware, Massachusetts. He was from Gilbertsville. I'm sure you all know Gilbertsville, Massachusetts. It's about 10 miles up from Route 9 in Massachusetts. I love Route 9, and it's one of my 5 favorite streets in all of America. It goes from Boston to the end of Massachusetts, and I've been known to cruise that and enjoy it quite a bit. But anyway, Harlan and this other officer who was an ensign, I said, in the last remaining officer, I decided I would survive no matter what. You had to have determination. Once you gave up, you weren't long for the world. Well, anyway, I just want to pay tribute to all those who were on the Indianapolis. It's the last ship to go down in World War II. And the significance of it is that their efforts, you may not agree with me, but their efforts in bringing the atomic bomb to Tinian, which was used to drop on Hiroshima and then Nagasaki, I believe, helped bring an end to the world, end of the war. And it's a great tragedy all around. But I think it was that necessary to bring an end to the hostilities in the Pacific. So I'm saying, David, thank you. And thank you, Harlan Twytle, and this gentleman here in our community, Don Howelson. I don't know him, but God bless you, from one veteran to another. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minor. Vice Chair Messenger for comments.
I'll be quick because it is late. I really wanted to discuss the high school. I think what should be clear to everybody is how important this is to the community and parish. I think you saw that today. I think you saw that with the amount of people that came here. I think you saw that with the signatures that were passed out. There's an online petition. So I think you can see how important this is to the community. I was on the downside of the vote last meeting, so I can't necessarily bring it up. But what I am asking is that the members that were on the upside to really think about it, because it is really important. And I think that's very clear. It's not too late. There's some things that still haven't been ordered. Things haven't been decided, and mascot hasn't even been picked yet. There's a lot of things that have not been decided yet. And a mascot won't be decided until after school, which will then further when uniforms and other things I'm sure will happen. So my request is really weigh on that, think about that. I want to reiterate that the community felt like at the last meeting that was done very quickly and without enough notice to them to represent themselves. They came here to represent themselves today, but if these people had been here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever that was, gosh, that was a while ago, would you have voted differently? With the amount of people and the reactions you saw today, would you have voted differently? That's what I really want you to think about. So that's my request. Other than that, I feel like this has been a very productive meeting, so I wanted to thank everybody for that. And I wanted to say, nice job, Mrs. Saunders, on your first meeting as superintendent. You made it through. It's been a long one, but that is it.
Thank you. I too would like to congratulate the superintendent. Job well done. It was a pretty packed agenda. And I'd like to commend my colleagues. We started the meeting, we've got to figure out how to Photoshop you into the picture of receiving our recognition. We'll figure that out. I think we'll figure that out. But I think if we can do that. We got let's do that right after the meeting. We have the plaque. And what we're addressing is the board, completed a year-long process of master board training, and we received our recognition from the Florida School Board Association earlier. And I think in line with Vice Chair Messenger's comments, I think if we look back where we began as a board and the effectiveness that we had today on issues that we have, been working through, I think we're demonstrating that we're on the right path, and the district is on the right course. And I thank all of you, because I think we are doing good work. We're working together, and I think we've demonstrated that we have become an effective board. So with that, I thank you, and I guess without objection, we will adjourn tonight's meeting.